Hello everybody and welcome once again to another thrilling episode of the Super Suck Hour. Slightly different set this time. We're in the home studio of Mr. JK5, joined again by Professor HEALEYMADE, the two guys together, two of my main Star Wars guys. Now, I know we're gonna get into the fucking Last Jedi shit. This is probably gonna be the longest episode of the show to date. A lot of people would have liked Billions McFucking Millions to be here because they're desperate to know what he thinks, but he couldn't get his fucking act together to be present here. We were also going to include...
He's present in this form.
No, he's not. He ain't here in any fucking way. We were also going to have Sidekick Lab involved. We were going to try to do this fucking big Skype thing, but with
I can see him right now, but I can't see his surroundings.
Five motherfuckers talking at once just wasn't going to cut it, so we're probably going to wind up doing some supplemental episodes where we get... all my friends who feel like they need to say something about this fucking fat load of a film on record, but for now I need to get this out because everybody's fucking asking for it. Everybody's fucking demanding the fucking Last Jedi review. So I got two of my Star Wars guys in here and we're gonna unpack it. Now, how many views in are you? How many times have you seen this movie so far?
I've seen it twice. Once in standard with you, and once in IMAX 2D.
Okay.
2 days after.
And you've only seen it once.
I've only seen it once, sadly in the third row with my family.
Technically should disqualify you from this because I just simply... But because because of your love and knowledge and passion and, you know, articulation of Star Wars qualifies you. This is not a film I think you can fully absorb in one viewing.
No, I need to see it again and again.
But so you're going to give some color commentary, and when I hit you with hard facts, you're going to shut the fuck up. I don't know. Have you feel like you've got it yet?
Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, the second viewing changed a lot of stuff, because a lot of the stuff that gave me a shock in the first one, like, numbed me for like 5 or 6 seconds after. Whereas this time I wasn't as shocked, so I was just like on it more so. Yeah, and the IMAX was just amazing.
The second time I saw
it, face shots and stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw it in 3D at the Chinese theater in LA in the first row. So you can't even see the whole screen. I got the glasses and the
third row. I was scanning the horizontal screen this every.
It was fucking crazy.
Last row IMAX.
But
push back on the seat.
I hated it the first time I saw it. I was furious.
You yelled out, "Star Wars needs to end now."
Yep.
You did?
Yeah,
publicly.
I was pissed off.
Wow.
I was pissed off, and I was able to articulate it then. Now I can't quite remember, but this is what's interesting about this movie.
I had a lot of WTF moments
is how polarizing it is. Way more than Force Awakens, I think. I mean, there were a lot of people that just hated Force Awakens or were just like not into it. But like this one, people are violently angry, and it's just like really polarized people, and I think a lot of people are writing it off way too fucking quick. Like people shit on me because I said like I needed to see it more than once to make up my mind, and people on Instagram was like, how can you not know if you like it right? I liked a Big Lebowski after one viewing. Eat a dick! Eat a dick, whoever said that. This is not the same thing as any other movie. Star Wars has way too much history, and there's way too much going on here.
There's just more to look at visually. Like, don't look at the person who's talking for a whole viewing. Like, focus in this corner, and you'll see stuff that you haven't seen, aesthetically.
Well, okay, before...
It's a lot to organize. It's complex. There's so much to absorb.
There's way too much...
Overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. I took notes during the last viewing, just pages and pages of fucking notes, and we're gonna go through the whole movie.
Nice.
But first, let's just get the hot take. Like, where were you at after you got out of the movie the first time? Okay. You go first.
Perplexed, overwhelmed. I hated aspects of it, and I really.
What did you hate about it?
I thought there was just some filmic structural problems. I thought the whole casino scene and the DJ storyline really detracted from the cohesion of all the other storylines that needed to flow and really be woven together. I thought the tone, as much as I understood the embodiment of now that it's Disney and there's all new kids and a new generation, and Star Wars always has a really funny, humorous element, but I thought that there was too much of a jokey tone, and I found myself laughing to a degree where I'm like, what the fuck, why is this so funny as opposed to just what was intended to be funny?
Right, and that was your thing, and what struck you as the best parts, or the parts you liked the most?
Luke and Rey.
Okay.
And I liked what was happening. I liked the dynamic and the telepathic communication between Rey and Kylo, and the triangular dynamic with Snoke, but that wasn't so clear to me either, and it was just, I needed it really streamlined and stripped down. I mean, I just need to see it.
It's sprawling all over the place. What about you? What did you...
It felt really dispersed.
Yeah.
I
it wasn't
agree.
as much adhesive for me.
True.
There was
first time.
bits of it I didn't like the casino thing. Just didn't. Like,
Everyone hates that part.
I just visually didn't like clean Star Wars unless it's like Camino or Bespin. It doesn't work that well.
Well said. I agree.
It's just too shiny, and Judge Dredd. Okay, whatever. I didn't like that. The humor, like the fact that it was really good humor, threw me off. Like it was
aspects of it were really funny.
It was really funny, but at the time I felt like, does this belong?
It shouldn't be
Right.
funny.
Like, I don't think I've laughed this hard or wanted to laugh this hard at any of the other movies,
It was confusing knowing why you were laughing beyond the fact that it was just a well-written joke.
Yeah.
Or a good place for
or
something
just like
funny.
great physical humor,
Right.
It's like Three
Right.
Stooges kind of stuff,
There were elements of that.
And I just wasn't used to it. But in terms of and those are all the details that were added. Like, hey, let's put them in a casino thing. Like, they could have had a mission somewhere else. There couldn't have been jokes. Like, it seemed like all the extra stuff down top, I was like a little too much icing on it. But the story itself I thought was really good. The communication stuff, the Luke, like, I was happy Luke did it. And for me, the whole thing was just about social media, because it was just like instant communication from far away. Snoke set it up, so it's like the government listening in on the conversation.
I mean, this one seemed a little bit more obvious about that. Like, I thought the whole the politics with the Canto Bight scenes and the the one percenters and all that stuff like that.
Right.
They were pretty obvious about like where they stood politically. It's a totally like socialist movie in a way.
Yeah, villains, heroes, who cares? There's the rich and then there's the not rich.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Don't join.
Yeah.
I thought the plot was fucking retarded. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Which part?
The whole plot. These are the things
Okay.
that this is what
The whole plot.
this is what
I'm
pissed
like,
me
you're
off.
shooting coins?
Just what I remember really pissed me off is the lack of answers. Like the two main questions that they just decided not to answer, and now I realize maybe it was a wise choice, is who the fuck is Snoke, and where the fuck did the lightsaber come from? Like, I thought those were two important things that The Force Awakens set up, and that they just don't address. Like, she brings Luke the lightsaber, he looks at it, and he doesn't ask, where the fuck did you get this? How did Maz Kanata get it? Like, does that not matter? It just...
Shouldn't he already know, though?
Why would he know?
Just by getting the sense of it? Like, like how Rey can, like, hold it or something?
Well, I don't know. Like, it found her so readily.
So you read a lot of the books.
No, I was going to read this book, but it hasn't come out yet.
The other
I
stuff.
did. They're almost all garbage except for
But I'm
Darth
saying,
Plagueis.
and I think, like, your criticisms of, like, the lack of depth of story, maybe it's because, like, you're really into the story aspect.
Well,
of
should
it.
I not be?
No, I'm just saying it's a different...
I
fan
feel like,
place
listen,
to
I
come
love
from.
this movie. After 4 viewings, I fucking love it. I think it's one of the better Star Wars films. But it took me a while to come to that point. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to call out the shit that I think is whack. I just don't... Maybe it's not important. I thought it was, but I guess they're not going to answer that question now. How that lightsaber found its way back into
I
the
would
thing.
love some of that explanation.
They'll
They
probably
still
make
probably-
a book about that, but it's like, that's fine and all, but you want to judge the movie onto itself, and I just feel like it was such a random thing, and they're not going to try to fucking justify it. Like, even Maz Kanata, she's like, where'd you get this? And she's like, that's a story for another time, but apparently not the next movie.
Well, yeah, but why wouldn't it be the next movie?
I don't know, because the lightsaber's broken now, and Luke is gone, and it's like that whole thing seems like solved. And they don't explain who the fuck Snoke is at all.
Yeah, that was...
Maybe that's not important either.
But it's like, who's the Emperor?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You eventually get somewhat of an answer, or even though they don't say it in the movie, yeah, you're right. That's what I came to realize. It's like maybe we're expecting too much at this point for everything to fucking fit into this larger puzzle.
We have 40 years of filler on 3 movies, and we're expecting all that filler to be in the movie that's 2.5 hours.
That's why I think a lot of people
Right.
are pissed off. It's because it's like, here it is, and it asks you to sort of just take things at face value, which the original films did, and we didn't question it. But now it's all got to fit into this big fucking puzzle, or else it's a fuck you. And, so that bothered me. And it's just quite possible that Snoke is just fucking nobody. He's just some fucking guy that figured out how to be that, and they're going to put a book out about him one day, and you're going to fucking like it. But what I didn't like, what really bothered me, was that the plot, where it's just like the slow speed chase through outer space, where like they can't hit the ship, and they're running out of fuel, and they can't do anything to catch them. That's ridiculous, because we've never seen these problems. Like, when have they ever worried about fuel? Have they ever? Every ship just jumps around through fucking hyperspace like it's fucking nothing, from here to there, to there to there. Not a single concern about the gasoline.
A fighter that size couldn't have gotten this deep into space by
because it
itself.
doesn't have a hyperdrive. Because it doesn't have a hyperdrive. TIE fighters don't have hyperdrives.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, okay.
They're never worried about fuel, so...
I thought the slow thing could have been, like it was more realistic. Like, we have realistic problems travel more slow. Like, our global situation now.
It seemed like they just invented that problem to serve the plot. And also the other thing about the timeline. Like, apparently this is an 18-hour turn of events, because they say it. We have 18 hours left of fuel. And they're going to just wait till they run out of gas. So suddenly all the ships are running out of gas at the same time. It's too convenient.
Did you guys see Dunkirk?
No.
It's not relevant.
No, it is extremely relevant.
Why?
Because that movie is 3 different things that are happening a day, 2 hours, and a week's worth, and they're all timed together.
Oh, wow.
And Tom Hardy's a pilot, and he's just, throughout the course of the entire movie, it's his real 2 hours in flying,
But does it work in the movie, or is it? Do you have to?
Yes,
because
Nolan,
this doesn't make any sense at all, really.
But there's a
Ray
time
is there for a
signature thing
couple
where
of days.
There's just one thing that's going like this, and the other thing's going quicker, but they're all kind of going at the same time. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
what
the
thought
thing
about
is, the thing is, I realized it's the same plot as The Empire Strikes Back in a lot of ways. It's like she's off training, and they're being chased through space by the Imperials. It's a little different, and they really shouldn't match, because one thing looks like it's happening for days and days and days, and the other thing is happening over a span of a few hours. And then I realized the plot never makes sense in any Star Wars movie ever. The plot of Return of the Jedi is fucking stupid. That plan to break Han Solo out is stupid. It's all stupid. The plot, it's not about the plot. The plot is just there, and it's conveniently malleable to serve the thematic and emotional.
It's an episode plot. It's not a film plot. That's the difference, Like, there's not this great arc that exists in most Star Wars movie. Like, overall, maybe, but they're just episodic.
I mean, it's just really interesting where they brought all the 3 stories together, with the fucking, when they blow up, when she rams the ship, it's like, right, all those 3 stories suddenly come together at that moment. That was brilliant. But until then, it's just like, you have to just get over it, man. If, like, that's one of the reasons why I hated it, because it's like, it really doesn't hold up to scrutiny. But if you can look at any Star Wars movie like that, especially let's not even talk about Attack of the Clones and how fucking ridiculous the fucking plot is. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all.
And the thing is, after Attack of the Clones, you don't even debate that movie too much to yourself mentally, whereas this one, even if you didn't like it initially, like, it's still like tossing in your head.
Yeah, but I just feel like you're gonna drive yourself insane if you fucking worry about that shit. So it's how I learned to stop worrying about the plot and fucking The Last Jedi. It doesn't matter, because I feel that it hits all the emotional notes, and that's what really matters. I mean, I think of all, to be honest with you, I didn't think the music was as outstanding.
I thought it was really good.
I mean, it served, but there was no real new themes or anything like that. They did reuse some New Hope music.
Oh yeah, they cut a lot of stuff. It was like a mash. It was like a mixtape of Star Wars, and they're like Luke, and it's like his song, and then Leia, and then a little bit of his song.
But they used
themes.
The themes are like all over the place.
They did 2 direct, like, greatest hits moments. With the planet drop at the beginning of every movie, they got the fucking planet drop, and they used the same song. From New Hope when they did this one.
Just like a really introductory vibe.
Yeah, the same refrain, and then when they're in the Millennium Falcon, it was the same dun 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 dun, that they had in
Asteroid
episode
Field,
4.
yeah.
No, not Asteroid Field, the TIE Fighter battle.
Oh, okay.
When they're escaping the Death Star. Same music. So that's cool. I mean, that's a thing. It's like when you watch a movie like this, it's like
Have you listened to the score by itself?
Nah.
Oh, you gotta do that.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah.
People always get mad because it's like, people were pissed off about Force Awakens because it felt too much like A New Hope. This movie is so different, and people are mad because it's too fucking different. And there's no really way to fucking win one way or the other. It's like there's going to be new shit, and there's always going to be callbacks. These movies have too much legacy there was no reason to make a sequel to Episode 4. It's a perfect, complete, final movie. And everything else is just more of the same with variation. So you have to fucking just take it. And if you don't like that kind of shit, then don't see the movie. It's like Star Wars is going to be always kind of be stuck referencing itself. I don't think you can just make something completely.
That's how it works.
Completely. That's what makes it work, and that's what people like. But I thought of all the movies, this is the one that had the most direct, heavy-handed message. About forgetting the past, and it wasn't only about
let the past die.
Yeah, kill it if you have to.
Kill it if you have to.
And we're gonna kill it for you. By doing shit in this movie that you're not gonna fucking like. But I think it's almost like it's a referendum on itself. It's like if they're really going to keep making Star Wars movies, you're going to have to let go of certain things, and it's about the rejection of orthodoxy and, and just like, setting things free. And I think in a way that was a very direct reference to like all these fucking 48-year-old pieces of shit who are on the internet fucking bitching about how they ruined my fucking childhood.
Like, how many people have written what they thought the movie should be? So, like, if he comes anywhere near that stuff, they're going to be like, you stole my idea. So it's like, literally, like, he has to make a movie that nobody is thinking is going to be. Because otherwise, someone's going to be like, oh, whatever, that guy already wrote that story. Like, it's I know he can say I didn't look, but you can't say that nowadays.
It's interesting to read about how Rian Johnson approached it.
What?
Well, just, you're in for a rude awakening if you think you're going to really do your thing with a Star Wars movie. There's real parameters. There's a gravitational force and a container that you have to really
maybe,
stay
but
within.
he also says he had a
put your
blank
stamp
slate
on
with
it
this movie.
and make it your own, but that's just an insane amount of pressure, man.
They pushed it pretty far though, because I was saying like J.J. Abrams, he didn't get to the movie and be like, okay, here's Snoke, here's Rey's parents, here's who Snoke is, here's what Luke's gonna do with the lightsaber. None of that was written when he came in. He got to make up that shit himself. So he seemed to have gotten away with it. I don't know what this fucking Han Solo movie is gonna be. Did you see the poster? It looks so terrible. It looks like Thor Ragnarok. Lando's hair and gold. It looks so dumb.
Wow.
It might be the first Star Wars movie to truly suck.
I heard it's all in first person too. That's good.
I don't know, but I mean,
that movie?
Disney apparently had meddled really hard in the Han Solo movie, and I don't know if it doesn't seem like they meddled
stuff,
this hard.
I feel like like the first movie, like the lightsaber battle in the woods felt like a Maleficent thing or something like that. Kylo Ren himself felt like so Disney, like a witch almost. And this one,
very true.
He kind of loses that, but it's like I don't watch Rebels or Clone Wars, but it seems like that kind of humor. I've seen a little bit of it, but it feels like
there's definitely that tone and some of that language in these. Yeah.
And I'm not familiar with that, but I realize most of the Star Wars fans right now love Rebels. That's like a big part of Star Wars.
My kids love Rebels and Clone Wars. I watch a lot of it with them.
So that's going to kind of blend in,
Yeah, I'm happy to have this movie. I was actually, now that it's, we're going to get into the synopsis now, but like I was happy now that I think about it that I was so challenged by this. It's like I don't want it to just be like a throwback. Like one of the things I didn't like about Kevin Smith's review of Force Awakens, it was like, oh, this makes me feel like I'm 9 again. It's like, I don't want that from a Star Wars movie. I don't need to go back and feel like I'm a kid. I'm an adult now. I want to enjoy Star Wars as a 48-year-old man, as a continuation of my childhood, but a build upon it. I don't want to go back, so I don't need like a nostalgia trip. And it's like, I want it to riff and go in strange directions.
As long as they're still in the Millennium Falcon.
Well, no, I don't care. If they should blow up the Millennium Falcon.
All right, yes. But there's that thing when a Millennium Falcon is being chased by TIE fighters. There's like it's like a primal thing that you
Yeah.
feel, you know. And I think it's like you're just like, yeah, we're doing this.
Yeah,
again,
but I don't. It doesn't
you know?
make me feel like a kid. You know, I
No,
don't
it
get
makes
that. I
you-
mean, I mean, I can experience
part of
joy
you.
and
It's
wonderment
like visceral
as a,
emotional memory.
yeah, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can enjoy it as an adult. You know, I can still get excited and feel like Twinkle Toad about the things that I love. I don't need to go back in time. I don't want to see the same shit over and over again. I would love to see the Millennium Falcon blow up. That would make me. That would wrench me. Like watching Han Solo die was perfect. You know, because you know it's like losing a parent, or it's like this person that's been a fixture of your life since you were a kid and was sort of almost immortal dies. You know, it's just like, and I think that's what makes the new Star Wars compelling, is that they're not afraid to like take shit out, and it's like, and I think that's part of growing up, is having to give things up and sacrifice things. So I don't need Star Wars to preserve the you know, any preciousness about it. Fuck, we're big boys. We can handle it, right? We're gonna have to watch all our parents die, you know, if you haven't already. So it's just like, you know, this is helping in a way.
Well, when
you
you
know?
when you left and after the first view, because I'm curious, because Hamill had a thing where he kind of was like, you know what, I wasn't into it, and now he's kind of like, no, actually, I am into it. Like, what did the structure of your thinking of it look like,
Well,
and what fell apart first to kind of make it more?
I don't know. I mean, one of the things that a lot of people complaining about is the portrayal of Luke, and including Mark Hamill himself said he didn't agree with the take on Luke, which surprised me because I assumed that was going to be the case. The fact that he exiled himself and walked away, and that, you know, they tell you what the tragedy was. I wasn't expecting this sort of wise, willing warrior. You know, I expected a broken man, and I thought that was a great plot development. Luke was always a little
He
bit
has
of a
sorrow in him, like, all the time.
yeah, and it's parallels Obi-Wan's failure with Anakin, you know, and it's just like it works within the sort of the rhyming structure of Star Wars, you know, and he eventually comes around and does something incredible, and you get that, you know, that moment of satisfaction of seeing Luke fucking kick ass. But Luke was always kind of a fuck up in a way. He always made the wrong choice and complained about everything and whined and
Yeah.
you know, he was never this great
I'm not a big
character. I was
person.
never a big fan of him, you know, although he's the important protagonist. But I thought the portrayal of him was great, you know. And the actor Mark Hamill was fucking really sold it. I like, you know, I thought it was good. Right?
I agree.
That wasn't my
I mean,
problem.
yeah, I had no problem with what they did. I was like, that kind of makes sense, you know, like where if he learned his lesson, like last time he left training and went to chase and after Han, like look what really happened, which didn't put him in a good position.
Everything after Return of the Jedi went to shit, and like some people, I guess, have a problem with that. It, like, somehow the fact that the Empire is still there and the dark side still exists, it means everything they did was for nothing, which I don't agree. I mean, it seems like we're living through that in now, where like every generation has to fight the same battles again. You know, it's like the forces of evil, you know, or just like of contrition and regression are always going to reassert themselves, and it's like, you know, you have to build upon prior triumphs. You know, we look at what's happening in the world today where, like, Nazis are back. It's like, what the fuck? Although, you know, they're probably not going to be
Nazis
the same
are
thing.
just new versions of things that were around before Nazis.
It's always
Yeah.
there. So I think in a lot of
True.
ways Star Wars works for that. But I always laugh because I think if you go back to that first scene in the cantina when Obi-Wan is like trying to recruit Han Solo, if Han Solo can look into the future and see how this whole thing ends, he'd probably get the fuck out of here, man. I'd rather deal with Jabba than have to fucking 30 years from now be fucking murdered by my own child in abject failure. It's like, God, that sucks.
Princess.
That sucks. But so I saw the movie again last night, and I took notes. So let's just go through the sequence of events in the movie, and then we can riff. I mean, the opening scene, again, this is an inversion where we get the space battle in the beginning of the movie. That's like Revenge of the Sith did that, but most of the time the space battles is at the end of the film. Was there a space battle in Attack of the Clones? Not really. And there's no real space battle in Empire Strikes Back. Those are more like ground battles. Mm-hmm. But we get the space fight, and it's funny because it's just Poe. So it's the small one-man fighter thing, you know, again. Mm-hmm. And they even say it, you know, it's just one light craft, you know. And so he does that fucking thing, and
he's the cocky flyboy.
He's the cocky flyboy. That's a trope, and like Poe was a little more developed in this movie.
How did you feel about the dialogue? Was that the beginning?
Well, the
like,
first funny is
this is way funny.
where he pranks
Yeah.
Hux.
Is that way too funny for Star Wars?
I mean, I chuckled during that scene. You know, I thought it was.
I was laughing with my daughter.
I liked it,
but yeah, it was very funny. But I was just like, wow, this is Star Wars.
Yeah. It's one of those things. But
well, it set a really consistent jokey tone from the beginning.
Yeah, that was like.
But
wow.
I liked it. I like the jokes. I'm a fan of the jokes. Otherwise, we'd be just a slog. Like, what are the things I?
Oscar Isaacs played that character in that voice and that prankster well. I thought.
Right.
Did you ever do that to Tarkin, or that wouldn't make sense?
No, but Hux is a joke. You know,
Tarkin.
Like I think the whole thing is like the First Order is kind of like a fake. It's like a wannabe empire. They're all wannabes.
It's so insanely over the top. I thought that he was fucking with him in the beginning.
But
it was really funny.
I think it had an Incredibles reference. You saw Incredibles, right? You know, where
yeah,
they talk about
the masterpiece.
Yeah, where they talk about the monologuing. You know, where the villain always gets caught out, and so it's like he says, "We will crush you. The rebellion will suffer," and he gives this great speech, and then he doesn't hear it, so he has to like do it again, and it's just like it just goes to show like just how fucking cardboard these fucking losers are.
Yeah, for anybody that talks like that,
They did bandy about the term rebel scum a bit too much. I think it's become too much of a fucking catch line.
Too much punch it.
Too much punch it.
And not one. I have a very bad feeling about this.
You would think so.
Was it BB-8 in the beginning?
So they say. But it's true. They don't have it. Like some movies have it multiple times. So that should
be multiple characters.
But that should be a tell. You know about this. I think he did it. I also don't think I heard the Wilhelm.
It's morphing, man. It's all.
I didn't. No, but that was deliberate because
language, tone.
I did not hear the Wilhelm scream either.
Wait, the Wilhelm scream?
Oh, you did?
What's the Wilhelm scream?
How
do I not know that?
It's that weird scream that you hear in every Star Wars and every Indiana Jones movie, and then every other movie that's been influenced by Star Wars.
But it sounds like it's coming through a stormtrooper helmet.
Yeah, but it's like an old piece of film foley of someone screaming. It's almost impossible to recreate it. The first time you hear it is when in the chasm scene where the stormtrooper gets shot and he falls, and then you can hear it in all the Indiana Jones movies. It was not. It was not in this movie, as far as I can tell.
It's in my head. Yeah.
As far, maybe I'll put. I have the audio. I have it. I'll throw it. It sounds like this. It's not. It's like I think it was a deliberate choice not to use it.
You know for sure it's not in there?
No, but most of the time it's pretty apparent. And I've seen the movie 4 times, and
it's like happen on the Casino Planet where you were just kind of blocking yourself off.
Did it happen?
I don't know. I felt like I could have.
I feel like because usually when it happens, you hear it, you know, because it's sort of there deliberately, and it's like I feel like if you're gonna use it, you want it to be heard. If you're gonna hide it,
contextualized or placed in a really specific, careful way, or is it like
just whenever it seems like they need somebody screaming? Like right. I think it happens on Jakku in the first scene. You could look it up and find out where it occurs in all the other movies, but it's always been like this little detail, and they left it out this time. So I think I think it's telling that they didn't put it in. Okay. I could be wrong. If you've heard it, let me know.
So if you've seen it 4 times, when and where was the "I have a very bad feeling about this" line delivered?
From BB-8.
What do you think?
I don't remember. I think it's probably in the beginning, because I think it's in the beginning when Poe tells BB-8 happy beeps. Let's hear some happy beats.
The afterburner. Were you into that?
What's
on the back of the Poe's X-wing?
What happened?
When he kind of like chokes it and then
spins around.
Yeah, but he has it's a new attachment on the back of the X-wing.
I didn't notice that. Some of that shit was all kind of ridiculous, but it was a thrilling. I liked watching that was a good space battle when he flies through that thing and the TIE fighters say, the TIE fighters always fall for that narrow chasm shit. They're so fucking stupid. You think they would have taught them
when the TIE fighters come after him, it's great. You just see him come out of that like vent, you know.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was pretty good. And you got that new dreadnought ship, which was pretty fucking cool. And then you got that cute white girl in the A-wing. I read a whole treatise online about why A-wings are trash, but you got that little white girl in the A-wing. She was pretty cute. And then so the first like sort of important new character we meet is Paige Tico, which is that really hot Asian chick in the pilot suit. Why do they look so good when she's going up the ladder and her ass? She look fucking really hot girl. And I thought they did a really good job of like making you give a shit about this person. They're only on the fucking screen for a few minutes and they die. But I thought the actress was great, and I thought that was really compelling. And it's like the first major performance by an Asian person in Star Wars, and then you get the other girl later. The only other time I remember seeing an
then
Asian.
They cut to between her doing that, and then there's an Asian guy.
I was gonna say, yeah,
an Asian cross.
There's an Asian guy on the First Order too, and I don't know how deliberate this kind of stuff is, but it
seemed almost a little too deliberate.
Maybe, yeah, but I mean, I definitely noticed that. Yeah. There's also, I noticed there was like a couple of black women in there, which one of them has like one line.
First Order?
No, there was one black woman in the First Order, and there were like 2 black women or 3 black women in the Resistance. I think they have like one line that's a throwaway line. That's the thing, though. It's like a lot of people get mad about the inclusiveness, about how like there's more people of color in the new Star Wars movies, which it's supposed to be that way. It's fine. It was always a sort of an error of the older Star Wars movies. That's why I think making Finn the Stormtrooper was brilliant, because in a way it sort of retroactively explains where all the black people are. As in our world, they have the shit jobs, or they're not allowed to be part of command. They get the grunt work. So I thought that was an interest. I don't know if that was the intention, but it made me think maybe all the stormtroopers are black and Puerto Rican and, the non-white races. I mean, the Empire is pretty fucking white.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the clones are Maori, technically.
Yeah, technically, yeah. But I think Star Wars really needs to work on black women a little bit more. That's like a whole thing on Black Twitter about this, science fiction is just bereft of, black females. So they need to fucking fix that shit. And that Wrinkle in Time movie is not going to cut it. Did you see the trailer for that? Mm-hmm. That's a good book, but that looks like utter fucking trash. I'm sorry.
What about Whoopi on Star Trek?
That's cool. Yeah, I guess I'm not saying there's none, but that's
yeah.
Just that was it though.
Did Paige Tico use the Force to get that fucking thing down? Or not, because this is another thing that they get into with the Force, is like they're sort of suggesting thematically in this movie that the Force doesn't belong to just the Jedi, and that's what I think.
Or a royal bloodline with
exactly. The Force is just part of the universe, and like maybe she couldn't use the Force to levitate it. She's not that tuned with it, but what she was able to do did tap into the Force. I think Han Solo has the Force. I've always thought Han Solo had the Force. Yeah. Han Solo has the Force in 2 major ways, because A, he uses the living Force to be able to do that ridiculous shit. He calls it luck, but and he's part of the destiny of the galaxy. He's just this asshole who wound up being part of this pivotal turn of events that affected everything. So he does have the Force. This is a major plot point that I had a problem with. I love those B-wing bomber things.
Yeah, those are cool.
But first of all, 2 things. You're evacuating. Why do you have a whole bomber squad just like loaded and ready, And 2, weren't you just trying to like blow up a stationary target on another planet in the last movie that really could have benefited with a bunch of bombers?
A stationary target, another target?
Yeah, no. And when they're trying to blow up Starkiller Base, and they have to hit that little thing,
Yeah, but Starkiller, they don't bring any cruisers.
I thought
I think the bombers are cruiser launched. You see how slow they go?
They can go to hyperspace.
They can.
They have to.
Okay.
Why weren't they on the transports then? Like it just doesn't make. I thought that was just convenient.
It was interesting how slow they were moving, because I played Battlefront, and when you play in bombers type things, like it is like it's not as fast as you think, and you're still, you're covering a large area, but everything's so big that it looks slower. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's true. One other thing I forgot to mention, which I wanted to bring up, is
perception of time.
Well, that's another thing I forgot to mention with the plot holes with the timeline. No one ever talks about relativity in Star Wars. People are going all over space, and like I saw that movie Interstellar recently, and about how like an hour on this planet is 7 hours or 7 years.
Did you like Interstellar?
I had problems with it, but essentially I liked it. But that's just a non-issue in Star Wars. But maybe it explains why the timelines are so flexible, is because when you're traveling through hyperspace, you're
subject to its own laws.
Yeah, or there's no time elapsing at all when you're going through hyperspace. I mean, maybe for you personally it feels like X amount of time, but in actual time you're just
exactly. Yeah.
No, but the rules of physics probably apply in every galaxy in this universe, right?
I don't know.
I think they do.
Okay.
I think they do. So, but that was saying.
It's so weird that all this stuff happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's the craziest part.
Okay, so now
It's another dimension. It's not the past or the future.
here's another thing that I thought was sort of a dumb invention. I mean, I like when Snoke call, they say after the dreadnought blows up, and then they're like, we got a call from Supreme Leader Snoke, and Hux is like, excellent. He's funny. I hope they do something interesting with Hux, because he was just sort of a punching bag for this movie. I would like to see him do something.
But I think he's a really good villain. I like him as an actor.
Yeah, I just hope they make him a little less two-dimensional. You know, like Kylo is so complicated.
There's supposed to be something between the two of them that they're going to explore. Right?
It seems like they're, but I mean, he seems so poorly matched against Kylo. Kylo can just fucking destroy him in 2 seconds. I don't see why Kylo even. We'll get into this.
I was over emotional, which is a weakness.
Yeah. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because we could talk about all that when we get to that point. But they have this new tracking technology now, which I thought was really dumb. It's like now they don't like it. This is another thing that's been fuzzy. Like ships have been tracked in Star Wars, but when they have
tracking devices.
But there's a physical thing. Like in the first movie, they put this giant box on the Millennium Falcon. That's the homing beacon. In Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan throws that little thing onto Slave One, and he's able to follow him. How did Darth Vader track the blockade runner at the end of Rogue One into the beginning of New Hope? How did they figure out they were going to Tatooine without this sort of technology?
I just thought that the tracking was just like location services, like on our phones, and just in terms of like everyone knows where everybody is now. If you really
at any
need
given
to.
moment.
This was one of the worst parts of the movie, I thought, because it was like.
I had that problem. I was like, oh, they made this up.
But then they had that whole scene
yeah.
where they're talking all this technical jargon and they have to explain it to other characters. I think you're kind of fucking up. It's like when that scene with Rose and Finn talking about, well, it's like it's only on one ship and they'll move it and it only for 6 minutes. It's like, how do you know all this crap?
I think they needed to
just
make it concrete and make sense. So they just had the characters have the dialogue about it.
I always find that that's
there are people like you that's like, well, then why didn't they do it here? Why didn't they do it there?
I just feel like that's weak storytelling if you have to go through all that trouble.
Well, that's where the holes are, right? That shows the lack of cohesion.
Yeah. The next thing that happens is we get Finn back. He's in that fucking pod and he wakes up in that preposterous bit of slapstick. I thought it was silly. I think Finn got a short straw.
When all the holes leaked at once, right?
Yeah.
He's in that suit.
When he goes, "Where's Rey?" and then it just goes.
That was a great
cut.
It was
like that's. I was like,
that
wow.
was
and it
good.
was the same thing. It was "Where's Han?"
Right.
To Kylo, like
that was
great cuts.
Great cuts.
Yeah.
But
great call with that parallel. Too.
Yeah. It's like a device that they use. But
the silence.
I thought Finn got kind of a short
silent element.
Yeah.
How it's used, where it's placed, so key.
Which you don't see in modern like
device.
fantasy movies these days.
It's not Star Wars. No, it doesn't. The scene doesn't end. But where's right and it's gone. Like that's not in any of the earlier movies. It was like, okay, so we're gonna go to Alderaan. Okay, let's go. And then
dun, 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 and then they have a whole new establishing shot. Yeah, it was a quicker or like a more like cutty. It was like
I didn't see any of his previous movies. So
no, me neither. Me neither.
Like, it's like that or whatever.
Finn was a one-note character. Like I don't feel they're giving us. I mean, there's too many fucking characters in the movie now. I think it's like
too many good characters to sort of consistently equally develop as richly across the board. And I thought that was that was a problem for me.
I mean, Finn is just. It just always seems like Finn only cares about Rey. Like he's gonna go find Rey, or he has to get the beacon off the ship for Rey. It's like Rey, all this shit about Rey. What is his role with the Resistance, or why is he there? It doesn't seem like he has much convictions. And what I think they're really leaving something on the table here, which maybe they'll explore in the last movie, is like his stormtrooperness is now just whatever. What was really interesting in The Force Awakens, which they only talk about in the book, is like Phasma and Hux are really obsessed with like, why did this stormtrooper flip? There's nothing on his record that suggests any sort of like conditioning problems or anything. Like, why did he flip? Mm-hmm. And they're worried it's gonna become an epidemic with the stormtroopers. And I think he's the key to that. I think a major plot development that could have happened in this movie or the next movie is the opposite Order 66, where somehow the stormtroopers turn. And supposedly there was a scene in this movie that was scripted and maybe shot which didn't make the cut, where he's captured and he tries to convince the stormtroopers. They're like in a small space with 4 stormtroopers. He tries to convince them to jump ship with him. You know, like they know he's a stormtrooper, because apparently there was another scene where a stormtrooper sees him in the officer disguise, and they're like, "Hey, FN, you made it." You know, so it's like I don't understand why that isn't a wedge or it's something for him to do that they have not tapped into yet.
And I think how he got like, oh, you're the guy that like abandoned the First Order. That's cool. And then the same character is like, and you're abandoning this now too. But it's like, oh no, he actually has a purpose this time. He's not really running away because he doesn't want to die. He's running away for Rey. But it was interesting how it was like the same thing of like, it seems like, oh, he's just trying to get the easy way out.
Like being a defector is his MO, but
but they just never, he's so rote, you know, he's just like, we're gonna do this, okay, you know.
Force Awakens, if you watch it like with headphones on, like when he's on the, you know, invasion and he gets the blood on his helmet, there's like a sound cue, and it's like that like Tubin voice, evil dark side kind of thing when it goes over his eye, you know, and it's like a really, like, it's a Force moment or something moment. Awesome. So there's definitely something there. Like he's definitely, like, when you're talking about why did he leave, when that blood goes on, listen for it. It's just like, it sounds like the Emperor's voice. Like,
wow, interesting, man.
Or there's some switch in
watching
them,
the movies with headphones is like.
But I mean, maybe there's something in the stormtroopers, like the Order 66 shit, where, you know, there's some trigger that'll crack the programming. I feel like if they don't explore that, he's kind of, at the end of the day, a wasted character. You know, he's just there for banal heroics and, you know, teamwork. I think
it's interesting that he doesn't use a gun a lot. Like everything he's doing, he's sticking or batoning, and I think it's a really cool.
And he gets weapons from other people, right?
Yeah, he doesn't carry a gun, and I think that's a really good statement for like people that are into Finn as their person. And it's like, what, like, you want to be like Finn, like take kendo or something.
It is,
like
but
that,
I mean, it does sort of suggest in a way he is sort of like an empty person. I mean, he really didn't have a life. It's just like he hasn't been an individual until he's in
programmed since birth.
20 years old. So it's like he seems to just absorb what's going on around him, you know. And just like whatever the other heroes think is important, he'll go along with.
He latches onto that, or he hears that.
So I'm just curious. I want to see something original come out of. I want to see something come from him.
I'd like to see something come from his history and the transformation.
Yeah, I think they have to do that.
How and why he flipped.
He's kind of like Han too, where Han like draws his weapon on Vader. Like, he goes after people he shouldn't go after.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. I mean, that's what the thing at the end of the movie where he decides to kill himself, you know, to save everybody else. Was that in or out of character? I don't know. You know,
that was wild because he was like, I need purpose. I think there's the whole thing.
Yeah, he's desperate.
It's like Han
for
calling the
purpose.
kettle black when he says, "Don't go getting any delusions of grandeur."
Yeah, exactly. It's weird. I mean, maybe
and
that's.
He pulls a blaster on Vader on Cloud City.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
That's delusion.
I think he's looking for purpose. I think that thing where he's in the cockpit, you're not like...
Yeah.
It wasn't about the hatred of what he's going to do. It was about the purpose of it.
He wants to do desperate to do something, and he's just kind of an idiot. He's a fucking idiot. You know, he's played as the bumbler in the movies all the time. So, which I got, is that...
But at the same time, he's looking at everything the way we would if we were in it. Like, he's kind of like a really realistic, like... You know, kind of, he's not caught up in the Force or the family or anything.
He's the flawed.
He's kind of chasing the girl that he likes. And
human.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think. Yeah. Do you think there's gonna? I don't think there's any romance between him and Rey at all. They suggest
Finn and Rey.
Finn and Rey, yeah. That's a friend zone situation. They hint at it when, like, she's looking at him.
You don't think he's feeling her, or is
I don't know. I mean, I think
awe of or interested.
He's in awe of her. Maybe he
attracted to her.
Maybe I don't know, but it seems like him and Rose are going to be
his life for her.
Yeah, but you could risk that. You could just be for friends. I mean, they.
I think there's a romantic thread
there seems
between
to be
Rey
something
and Finn.
there. Yeah, because she purposely plays off it.
I think so.
At the end. And you can tell he's just
she looks a little.
I get a
she
hug.
Looks a little jealous when he's sitting with Rose.
Yeah, there's subtle little.
But there's some parallels between Finn and Luke and the Han
But
triangle
did
with
you
Leia.
did you pick up on that scene at the end of the movie where she meets Poe for the first time?
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, oh, you know, that I felt like that was a purposeful thing to really stoke the love triangle or the love fucking quadrangle.
Yeah,
Right.
In,
Who
in,
knows?
in the
I
next
mean,
movie,
there might be
but-
some incest in there some way, like there was in the.
God,
no, I mean in
God.
terms of like the brother sister. Like we had no idea. We're like, whoa, Luke got a kiss, and Han's jealous.
Yeah.
My kids
Yeah.
crack up at that once it was revealed. Once it was a revelation, they're like, "That was his sister, Daddy."
Okay, we're almost. It's
So
like
good.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
haven't even
They
talked
bring
about.
such dimension. Of
we haven't
perspective
talked
to my
about
experience
anything
with Star
yet.
Wars. Incidentally, as a father,
Yeah.
they're 8 and 5, man. It's the prime. purpose.
Yeah, it's probably really interesting to see
It is.
kids absorb this shit and how it works. It's so brilliant the way like you and your kid could both
It's a family movie.
dig it.
It's
Yeah,
transgenerational by design.
brilliant, really well done. I gotta say, they did it. It's almost was an impossible task to revitalize this franchise.
My
and they
perspective
did
was
it.
skewed, man. I mean, I had my arm around my daughter, and she's like bending my fingers back at really scary, darker moments the whole time.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And my son was just like,
and they're totally versed in the original trilogy
Oh, of
and
course.
the prequels too.
"Look who their daddy is."
Okay, what's their just? a
We
little
started with the
side
storybooks, the hardbound storybooks from the 70s.
What's their feeling about the prequels compared
They
to?
love the prequels.
They don't get the distinction so much, do they?
I think all the aspects of the prequels that drove our generation mad just doesn't apply to them. Just doesn't really exist. They like Jar Jar. They get the story. They understand the arc. They think they're funny, super exciting, action-packed movies with a lot of darkness and nuances and gradation mythologically as human beings, and like they like them, man.
I wonder if that'll last if they stay Star Wars fans into adulthood. If the gap will widen in their appreciation.
It's a good question.
Because I always wonder, like, do we hate the prequels because we saw them as grown-ups? I would say no, because I
We're
like the new
Old
trilogy.
Testament Star Wars people, and we're like the New Testament, like, I don't know.
That's what this is about.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
that dichotomy.
Yeah. It's so interesting, like the divisions and the sects in terms of like
Excuse
what you like,
Yeah. Okay, so we meet Luke finally. We get this momentous occasion where she hands him the lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care where it comes from. That was a sticking point for me. And then the toss. Now, do we like the toss? That took me out of it a little bit. That pissed me off a little bit.
It's the same thing as Yoda.
It was a
being
shift in
like-
tone. It was a funny moment.
Yeah,
I mean, but
and it's like Yoda being like, "Ooh, you looking for a Jedi, huh?"
I'm gonna fuck with you.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Everything
yeah.
you think is important, I'm gonna throw
Yeah,
away.
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Judge me by my size.
Yeah, it
maybe.
freaked me out a little bit, but I guess it made sense. But that shocked me. Not that I knew he was going to refuse the call. I just didn't think he was going to do that. With
Kevin
the
Smith
lightsaber.
brought up the fact that he refers to it as a laser sword.
I love
That's what they always wanted to call them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They weren't intended to be called lightsabers.
But it's
Laser
always-
sword was the original
Yeah.
title.
He says
of
it like derisively.
the coolest weapon ever designed
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
filmic universe.
I mean, they mention in Phantom Menace, Anakin calls Qui-Gon's thing a laser sword. I saw your laser sword. But, like, Luke saying it is weird. I'm going to...
yeah.
Well, it shows you that he's kind of like
over
what am I going to call it? The
a laser
lightsaber
sword.
Or,
Yeah,
he's
he wants to
it's just
shit
a
on
laser
everything.
sword.
Yeah. Well, he's
But
bitter,
the thing
man.
is, he's
so
right about the
jaded
fucking
and
Jedi,
broken.
though. When he gives... That's what one thing I didn't agree with. It's like... The Force is not going anywhere. The Jedi Order and their rules and their orthodoxy
He's trying to harness something
need to
that
end. It's
can't.
like you can't control the Force. So he's
Right.
right. He was like the Jedi, like
It's like
Darth
dogma versus the spirituality.
Darth Sidious, was able to undo the Jedi at the height of their power and kill them all. So,
Yeah.
what did they do that was so fucking great? How he knows that story, I don't know. How did he know his name was Darth Sidious? Where did he get that information? Doesn't seem to have ever known that. Like, he seems to be intimately familiar with the events of the prequels when he wasn't before.
He's been kind of, drifting out and zoning in for like 40 years on that thing.
Yeah, that's
So-
true. That's
True.
true. Those books were beautiful objects, though. I love the way
I
those
paused and
things
drew
are.
them, man. I want to do work based on those glyphic
And
systems.
we all saw them
those
in the
pictures.
drawer.
Yes,
at the end?
she
Okay.
stole them.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that the first time.
I didn't either. Well, I just saw them.
Yeah,
I
Once
saw it
in
the
the third
second
row.
time.
I need to see that shit again.
But
just for
I think that's cool.
But that scene and the aesthetic of the spines of the books, I
With
was
the
like,
ivory and
fuck,
the
so beautiful.
Oh, those look
They were
really fucking
carved.
cool.
They were like
But apparently they're boring ass books.
stone covers or something, like the materials.
Yeah, that whole live that was great, and the new Jedi, that Jedi symbol was, all that shit was fucking sick. I want to know. It's like they're never gonna tell us who wrote those books or anything like that, and you don't really need to know. It's like they're better as a mystery. Like who built the statue on the island? They're not gonna
Right.
tell you.
And why was Luke's X-wing submerged?
I love that. That was the next thing on my list.
But it was just this visual moment that sparked this mystery. How did it get there? Why was it there? What's the allusion to Dagobah?
The Dagobah.
I think it just wanted you to be like, oh, he's gonna raise that up. Like he wanted to give you that, and then
or she's gonna raise it.
Park it there? Was it an accident?
He's been there. He's been there for 10 years. Maybe it's a planet with shifting tides, or shifting shores, and he didn't care. He let it sink because he didn't want to. He wasn't planning on ever leaving, and it was funny how they teased you with it, and then they never. And then they never. I mean, it's symbolic of like his mind state. That was his.
And he just. That's where he landed. He just left it.
I came here to die.
Right.
He said he says that, and I love how they don't give you that moment where the X-wing is ever lifted. It just.
I didn't need it, man. I love that. Well, I love just how they showed it.
What's really odd...
It's a completely clear, like, Bahamas Island water.
There was a lot of cool stuff of Octo. I love that scene when she's walking up the stairs and you see that weird little sea serpent go by. That was really... That place looked really cool. And he milked that
crazy dinosaur creature
and it has blue fucking milk.
And he looked like... Was he looking at the camera when he drank it? Like, it kind of
green milk. But it was an allusion to the blue milk on Tatooine.
It was funny. That was pretty funny.
And those little, like, Italian ladies that were, like, cleaning up
everything. They were great. Those are all my aunts and uncles.
Star Wars,
my neighborhood in the 70s, man.
Star Wars
Muppets. Little Italian Muppets.
But right, is this...
Costume jewelry, and they're, like, 4'11".
Yeah, and they're cleaning the statues.
Right, and complaining all the time. And they're so hard done by everything. But it's so weird. It's like Star Wars is the only movie where you can combine, like, a nun or an old Italian woman with a fucking fish, and you'll just take it.
It looks like the cat's eye kind of creature a little bit too.
I think it's the communion of all races and species and creeds and humans. But
it's such a
this
weird
amazing amalgam. Yes, but that's what it is.
And nobody cares. Certain people don't like droids. That's all.
We dig?
Right. They don't serve their kind here, and that's it, man.
Did we dig the porgs?
I found myself interested in their facial expressions and feeling the emotions that they were emoting, so I think they were successful.
I agree.
And I love that one where, like, there's one in the cliff in the background where there's, like, something major going on, and he's just like, ooh.
Yeah.
And I was like...
And it was Maine-like, the craggy cliffs, and it was sort of based on puffins, which is indigenous to Maine, and Maine special to my family and I, and the kids thought they were adorable, and I've had to learn how to draw porgs really well.
That little lip quiver and stuff.
Just that design. It was a little stormtrooper-like, actually.
Yeah.
Something subtle about just that.
And they look like Funko Pops.
And everybody is just...
They look like their pops already.
It's just so funny the way Star Wars can continually churn out these, like, iconic things, a lot of people were like, fuck the porgs, they're the new Ewok, whatever. But it's like there's so many
porgs. It's the new little bird species on Octo.
I know, and there's so many porg memes and all this shit. I love the
Chicago Chewbacca moment.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that was good. That was a good bit of comedy, and it's like we don't get to. I like the porgs that were camped out, that nested inside the Falcon. That was pretty cool.
I like the scale ratio and the dynamic between Chewie and the porgs.
They always play those games. They did that with the Ewoks and Chewie and everything
Luke
like
going
that.
up the bridge, that was cool because he was like, he's like Obi-Wan, he's sneaking on,
This is the first time that Chewie has not been played by Peter Mayhew.
So it wasn't Mayhew at all?
No. Could you tell?
I thought it was the whole time because there wasn't any running scenes, so I thought that they were just going to have Mayhew primarily. Right.
Well, in Force Awakens, they had Peter Mayhew play him for close-ups and when he was sitting, but for the stunts, they had that big Nordic dude climbing up the ladder. Now he's taken over full-time, And,
I wanted much more Chewie.
Yeah, that's the thing. Chewie, R2, and C-3PO are just sort of like, they get like one or two moments and that's it, which was too bad because those are great characters. They just don't seem like they know what to do with them,
But after what happened to Han, I just really wanted more Chewie.
A little more Chewie, yeah. I mean, there was that one shot, when he asked where Han is, and there's a little pregnant pause, but it's like what is Chewie gonna do going forward?
I feel like there's gonna be a crazy connection with Chewbacca and Kylo or Ben. Like I feel like whatever he owed his father, he owes the son, and I think that's why he didn't kill him. And stuff like that. Like
maybe.
I think there's going to be some...
I think that's a really sensitive, insightful point.
Maybe.
It's cool to think that could unfold.
Like, even though he doesn't want to, he senses, like, the only thing that's like Han Solo now is Kylo. That's the only thing that's, like, left of him.
I think Chewie would be happy to kill Kylo.
I don't think so.
I don't think he gives a fuck.
Okay.
But we don't know. We don't really get to know much about Chewbacca as a person or a character. Mm-hmm. It's like...
And how he feels about Kylo and what happens with Kylo could reveal a whole lot about his soul and his character.
Maybe, and now without Carrie Fisher,
He saw him,
killed.
Yeah, just kill his best friend.
Yeah.
He just watched and he couldn't do anything about it.
But at the same
He was
time,
too far away on that bridge.
Yeah.
The best thing you could do for your best friend is to help the son. I feel, even though they did this horrible thing,
I have no idea where they're going to go with any of that.
But there's real potential between those two.
I would be cool if Chewbacca had a little bit more to do with the actual emotional development of this characters, just because he's a fucking hero.
It's really underutilized. It's underwritten, I think. I think he's a really important part of the band of archetypes.
Yeah, I think we need more from him. R2D2 was great. Mm-hmm. If you want, he only had one scene. But that reunion with Luke when Luke goes back on the Falcon and everything, that was
plays the thing.
I love that because it's
dope.
And he calls it a cheap move, which I think is because that was a cheap move in Force Awakens where he sits down and the chess game comes on for 1 second.
Didn't they pick up exactly where they left off in A New Hope in The Force Awakens? You and I talked about it.
What do you mean? The game itself?
We were talking about that.
We were talking about that. They
paused the game.
It just was like they unpaused it.
Yeah.
And Force Awakens scene played.
I didn't know that, but that's pretty funny if they thought it out that way.
Rogue One, they don't have a video.
Nobody played
the
Holo chess for the whole 30 years.
There's no time.
Yeah, but that was a bit of fan service. R2D2 playing the hologram again was really important for the story, and it just shows you where R2D2's heart is at and always has been, and how he was almost more convincing than any of the human characters to Luke's state. I think R2D2 knows these things.
Deep history with Luke,
and he's the only one that knows the whole fucking thing, the whole deal. Yeah. He hung out with his father,
Right.
He was his father's droid, so it's he gets all this shit, and why he's still involved in this or why he still gives a shit, I don't know. It's
that's Lucas's favorite character, and kind of says that's the thing that binds everything together.
Yeah. Well, we got a little.
And R2 and C-3PO are the only two characters that appear in every movie. It's
every movie.
They're the narrators. They're the objective lights.
Right. Although I hated 3PO in the prequels. I thought he was reduced to just a buffoon. He was always a bit of a silly character, but he did shit that was integral to the story. In the prequels, he just got in the way.
Yeah.
In this current movie, they don't explain anything about the fucking Red Arm. There's a short story that explains the whole thing, and it's a really compelling story about it belonged to another droid that died.
That super reflective gold.
Yeah, it was cool. But then now the Red Arm's gone. He's back to gold. No explanation whatsoever why.
Does he have gold leg too, or still the silver?
I don't remember if he has a silver leg. I didn't see.
Although aesthetically, just to defend C-3PO in the prequels, just for a second, because my kids and I really like the way he looked without his covers.
Yeah, that was cool. But he's a stupid character. He doesn't do anything. And but it's in this movie, he doesn't really do anything either. But he was at least he wasn't a fucking idiot. I love when she told him.
A few lines, right?
Yeah, a few. I love when she told him to wipe that look off your face.
Yeah.
That was good.
That's 100% Carrie Fisher right there.
And it looked like we've all thought that, but when she actually said that, you're that's what he looks like.
Yeah,
and it looked
he always
is that a
looks
different face? No, it's always that way. Yeah,
and supposedly she wrote a lot of her own lines.
Okay.
That and her I changed my hair. Mm-hmm. Those I think were lines she wrote. But then they got that thing where C-3PO just has to get out the whole fucking sentence. Don't my inclination. He says to Poe is to not say anything, and it's just go with that 3PO. But he just has to get it out. I love that. I thought it was great. I hope they give. And when he sees Luke, Master Luke, it's amazing that a droid can have so much pathos in his voice and everything.
And what that means inside us 40 years later.
Yeah.
How that feels, just like Han's death.
Mm-hmm. And how the three of them never got together.
Right.
They never saw all three of them together.
Now, do you think that thing that they said when he winks at C-3PO, that's because C-3PO knows he's not there because he has a life force meter?
Yeah, you'd think 3PO could tell he was a hologram.
Because he kind of looks at him and he has that kind of startled thing, and when he winks, he's just
keep it quiet.
Yeah.
And he does, which is weird.
Yeah.
Which is unusual for C-3PO. I would like to see Chewie, C-3PO, and R2 have a little bit more to do. It's now that BB-8 does everything. BB-8 was ridiculous in this movie. Because it's
That
He
like...
was
line-
used as a slot machine.
Oh,
But
God.
no,
He was
it's just like...
mistaken as a slot machine. That was whack.
In
And then
Force
he shot the
Awakens...
clones down.
Brutal.
Like, there's no way there's that many coins in him.
Yeah, it's stupid. And that in Force Awakens, like Kylo is like the droid stole a freighter, and it's a joke because
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
way. But
Right.
then in this, he incapacitates a bunch of police officers on Canto Bight, and then he steals the fucking AT-AT. What the fuck? Like, can he do that? It's just like, I don't know.
Your phones do nowadays. They can do everything.
Incredulous, just the stretches, the believability.
I like the bad one with the
Black one?
BB-E9,
yeah.
Cool.
I got the
BB-8.
little diecast Tommy one.
Yeah,
Nice.
I hope he comes back because those two need to fucking square off
I love
against
his
each other.
noises, like
Yeah.
the evil version of the.
And I love
hater.
how they use the R5D4 head.
I love
That's-
the iterations of the droids. Always have.
Yeah.
But R5D4, and then I did a little kit bash mashup with R2 and R5 when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah, I always love the
It's just-
sort of the R2 and the R5 to me with the figures and just how it was like the other R2D2.
The
with
R5 head, I think it's not better. It's just more interesting or
It
something
is.
like
It's
that.
not about better.
And then
It's
that
just
cone
it's
one,
just a
that's
variation. That's what I
Yeah,
like about
yeah,
it because
yeah.
it's sort of same but different, and that's why I like how they keep it
And it changes
consistent.
the look of the whole droid, even though it's just that one piece.
Yeah, there was a.
And
Did
the
you see
shape,
the
Yeah.
the art
geometry.
the art of Last Jedi book has the concept drawings, and there was one where
Oh, it's so good. I looked at it
BB-8
up
had the
in
Probot
upstate.
droid head.
Well,
on
BB-8's head looks like the Probot, like with that black.
No, he
kind
looks
of-
like R2D2.
But I think there's
It's
tons
mostly
because it has like
R2D2.
those short antennas coming
One
out
and-
of the.
yeah, it's two. One-
Yeah,
it's
like
like
the
this.
two things here, and then there's that round black thing that looks like the like Probot
It's like
stuff.
a reflective
I
eye.
guess.
yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was hilarious. I just hope they didn't kill that character because I think they need to fucking actually battle it out.
I was just thinking about how distinct that particular reflective silver is on the original R2 figure. Something
chrome.
just-
Oh yeah,
the chrome.
the
chrome.
back metal or whatever. Yeah,
But that's so fucking dope and distinct.
Yeah.
And the contrast against the softest white and that decal.
and then a
like,
decal next to like vac metal. It's
Yeah.
just like whoa, like
figure.
I know. That's why all
I
our
love
art
that
always
figure
looks like that
so
shit. We can't
much.
help it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we can't fucking help it. That's what that stupid Star Wars on leather
That's
thing
the
was about.
combination. It's
It's
the
like when
really
people-
conscious design of contrast and conflict and complement.
It's
like,
also simple though. That's
Yeah.
what's so great about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's why we're doomed. I mean, when I was on Work of Art and he told me, Jerry Saltz told me, no more Star Wars, you can't ask that of me, because it's too, even if I deliberately try to not do Star Wars things, those textures and those patterns and those contrasts and those combinations are just part of my aesthetic
asymmetry
way
and
of
stuff
looking
like
at
that,
things.
yeah.
But interesting, abstract, personalized interpretations of that universe as artists, which is what we all are. That's coming, man. Just enjoy what you're doing. Keep making that
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Good
Like
advice.
Jerry Saltz,
Man.
come on. His
No.
life's more important than he is.
No, but I mean, it was just, I always come back to that.
Yeah,
That was
I
such a
remember this
pivotal
was a lot.
moment in my creativity, but that's
I
not
remember that
relevant.
moment.
It's not relevant. Let's talk
Okay,
about
sorry.
the movie. We're
Talk about Wally when you
fucking
were
going
gone.
on for
We
an
went off on a
hour.
little Wally
We're an
tangent.
hour in, and we haven't even talked about the movie yet. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing that happens is we get the first appearance of Kylo Ren, where, when they where's Han, cut to Kylo, and he's
Yeah.
going to talk to Snoke. And Snoke is such a dick. Like,
He's
what?
really a prick.
What's the point of that? Is that the right strategy?
Smelling, he's so sarcastic.
But I didn't get. Snoke is weird because, aside from the fact that we don't know anything about his backstory, we assume he's trying to do the same thing that the Emperor was doing. But the Emperor did not treat Darth Vader like shit. The Emperor was smarter than Snoke because the Emperor used punishments and rewards. As far as I can tell, he when Darth Vader did a good job, he got praise. And he gave at least the illusion that Darth Vader was getting something out of the deal. Where Snoke just berates the shit out of him. I mean, he did the thing he was supposed to do. He killed his fucking father.
I think he's just trying to stoke him.
It doesn't work. It had the wrong result. It's like he pissed him off.
I know
I
something
didn't
weird.
get the strategy there.
Like, I know, like, Snoke's face is a crowning achievement, and the way that they filmed it was like, you're just like looking at his face,
He's
right?
hideous.
And then the only other
Andy
character
Serkis,
they do
man.
that with
Don't put it on
is,
there.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
is with Rey too. Like these super close-ups of their faces, both of the characters. And afterwards, I always, Snoke's this, Snoke's that, and I'm like, is there some tie-in between Snoke and Rey that's its own thing? Because like they're showing you these two faces, like identical, and like it was just weird. I just noticed like no one's being filmed that close.
That's a good point.
For that long, except for those two characters.
Well, there's significance there somewhere.
Yeah.
There's intent there.
His face looked great though. It was like, wow, this. Because I know that they're like, you know it's CG, but look.
And the golden A modeled after Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, that was
There's
a
little Trump vibe going there.
Oh, the slippers. The slippers.
But
See
the
slippers?
thing is, his way he was walking, I'm a nutcase who thinks like that he's like Boba Fett. So like his like his height and all this weird stuff, like the way he was walking,
Sarlacc injury.
some kind of extensions or something. Like he's like, it's just like he looks like he's on.
He had a weird hand.
Yeah, and he saundered and kind of.
It looked like it was like if he took that.
He was
robe
really
off,
he was really like ill-aligned and asymmetrical and broken.
They absolutely have to put. They're going to put out a Snoke book. They have to. The Darth Plagueis book, which is really the backstory of Palpatine, is one of the best Star Wars books I've ever read. Most of them suck bad.
What's the relationship between Plagueis and Snoke?
Apparently nothing, or we'll never know. That was one of the theories, that he's Plagueis that figured out how to come back to life.
I thought that was a probable theory.
Yeah, that's all the Snoke theories that suck have some truth, have some.
they're fun.
But apparently it makes
speculation is almost as good as the movies.
it fits.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want them to give it all to you.
That's what gives it all life for us.
And it supports the theme that he's a nobody. He's not connected to a prior character or a prior film, or had some relationship with anything. He's just a new guy. And that's like fits in with the rest of the thing about, Rey's parents, which we'll get to. It's like you don't have to be this legacy thing.
Yeah.
In order to have that was the thing that was so annoying about the prequels, is everybody fucking knew each other.
Because it comes out of the theater, like kids especially are going to come out of that theater and be like, what if I have the Force? Like, you don't have to have the last name Skywalker.
Right.
That Oliver Twist moment at the end about anybody can be, and this is so
Yeah,
Disney.
that's what the whole. But that's
is
what
projection and the trajectory for the rest of our lives in these movies.
Yeah.
And a complete communicative, talk about message. That was it at the end.
Yeah.
Any kid.
Yeah,
work hard, follow your dreams.
Yeah, and that was the message of the original Star Wars, and that got lost somewhere in the orthodoxy of it.
Because it was like, who's Luke Skywalker? Who's Darth Vader? Oh, they're father and son. Nobody was going, but so then how was Darth Vader born? Like we didn't go back. We weren't.
But the thing is, Anakin Skywalker was supposedly nobody, although they suggest that he was created by the Emperor. They never explained that, which sucks. Anyway, Kylo smashes the fucking mask.
In the very beginning.
I love that mask, and I love the voice. I'm bummed out that we're not. That's
come back.
No, maybe.
The voice was sinister and dope.
It was part of his development to get rid of the mask.
To know
it was a rite of passage.
The Imperial light panels have glass in them.
Yeah.
Like how I was like, there's glass in those. Like that's just like.
Which is weird because in the Death Star, those things get hit by a zillion fucking stray laser beams.
It was just so cool to see like the shattered glass. I mean, I love we were talking about.
But they're actual windows.
Yeah, like it's like lighting. It's like office.
Death Star windows, one of my favorite design elements in the whole Star Wars universe.
Yeah. But I guess so. Kylo is like over the Vader worship or something. Is that what we're to infer?
I don't know. I think there's because his helmet was pretty banged up.
Yep.
When we see it, it's not really black either. It's actually like really, really dark gunmetal.
Well, good for you for noticing that.
Well, no, I'm just saying. And the same thing with Phasma. Phasma in the first one, her uniform, her outfit
dull.
Is scuffed, but in this one, it's new,
gleaming as fuck.
So I feel like
they
might do some kind of thing with his helmet where you get like the gloss.
I don't think you're going to see him in a mask again because I think that was the whole thematic point of him sort of transcending the need for it. He doesn't need the mask.
You know why though? Because in the next one, the Knights of Ren, those are going to be. You're going to have like 6 masks.
I can't wait for the Knights of
Ren.
Are
we going to get the Knights of Ren?
My kids are really into the Night Sisters.
Because here's the thing,
Darth Maul's
those guys. That's bullshit too. But here's the thing. Getting out of sequence here, but that's fine. We finally get the backstory now of the destruction of the temple, and how
one finger.
Yeah,
conjuring lightning.
When Kylo destroys the Jedi temple, it happens right at that moment when Luke and him. Now that was weird because they don't use flashbacks very much in Star Wars movies. Like there's visions and stuff and dreams we've had, but not an actual flashback. And this was weird because you got 3 different versions of the flashback until you finally got the actual story, which was a total departure
and a mix of
Yeah.
The other two.
And then,
versions.
so then Kylo destroys the temple right then and there, and leaves with half the students, and kills the rest of them. So we always assumed from Force Awakens, when she has that vision of them in the rain with the Knights of Ren, that's when he destroyed the temple. Because the way it's juxtaposed with Luke and the burning building and everything. So that was apparently a separate event, because he wasn't Kylo Ren when he destroyed the temple. I thought that like he left Luke, became Kylo Ren, and then came back and destroyed the temple, and that's what that scene in the rain is, where he's standing there with the saber and the Knights of Ren. So that's another event that we have no idea what it is, and I hope they don't fucking be jack-offs and not explain that. They have to. I demand that they have to explain what that is, because it's too important. Who are these characters? It's just they have.
I think it's just another like, you got 6 Boba Fetts.
No, but it's just like,
why
would they
go for one when you can have like 6 really cool designs?
Why is that scene in the flashback? Why is that scene in the vision if it's not important or related to anything?
We're talking about it.
No, because maybe it's the future. Maybe that's the future when she.
What part?
But he's wearing the helmet in that, so
Yeah.
What part?
In the Force Awakens, when
Right.
the Knights of you see the Knights of Ren
In
in
the
the
rain.
flashback.
Yeah.
That's what is that event?
Right.
There's things that aren't wrapped up from the first one that we expected in the second one, but it's not the same director. So it makes more sense that the first one's going to be a little bit more tied up by the third one.
J.J. Abrams is doing the third one, so he's going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I just think that's important.
And hopefully, the third one puts everything from this one in perspective. As a good arc of a trilogy, by design, and the writing needs to go.
Because like the second one was kind of ended, and everyone's kind of weirded out. We're not weirded out and sad because Luke doesn't have a hand and Han's frozen, but we're sad for a lot of people are sad for like the whole story they didn't like, and not liking the story.
Yeah, people were mad at Empire.
It's like if something happens,
dark and sad.
Something that happens to you and you don't like it, you don't like that story. It doesn't mean it didn't happen, And I think that's like we're in the universe now where we're like, I can't believe Luke's fucking gone.
Personal projection.
Yeah.
Did Luke's hand disappear when he turned into a ghost?
People wanted to see the hand just
fall down.
It's just something I noticed. I don't know, but all right. So
special edition.
So back to that. It's like there was an interesting that bit where Rey is now following him all around the island, and sleeping outside his thing. That's all Shaolin Kung Fu movie shit.
Totally, totally.
Where the reluctant,
and he's completely reluctant
because his previous student went bad, and he doesn't want to train anybody anymore.
I can't go through this again.
Archetypical shit. I love the Jakku joke. That pretty much is no way. That was pretty fucking funny. What do you think of Snoke's ship, by the way? That fucking.
I mean, whatever. It's just like an even bigger triangle.
This time it goes. It's wide instead of long.
Right. It was all horizontal instead of vert.
But it looked fucking cool, though.
It was cool.
I was down.
Yeah, it was cool. I'd love to see a model of it so I could see like exactly what it looks like and stuff like that. Because you don't really. You're in the moment. You can't really get a judge of it. But his whole. All right, where are we at? I don't want to go.
I just wanted to say I like the broad hybrid design element of Vader's TIE Fighter, Kylo Ren's ship, and the Star Destroyer.
Yeah, I mean the thing is
that became Snoke's. Ship.
I liked Kylo's fighter. It was pretty.
Kylo's fighter was fresh.
Disney Store has them this big, and it's model scale. It's not toyed out.
Oh, sick!
Mini Kylo that has like the waistband, and you can put them in the cockpit. They're $11, and the wings are like vinyl, so you can't break them. And it's like it looks just like the ship.
His ship was fresh, man.
Yeah.
Red and just incidentally, Snoke's ring. I've gotten into the jewelry and some of the details of the costumes. He mined it from just the Earth or whatever you'd call like the subterranean level in this galaxy underneath Darth Vader's castle. That's what he made the ring from. That's the black stuff.
How do you know that?
On top. Star Wars Visual Dictionary, Last Jedi.
Yeah,
we never talking about.
I just wanted to check it out. Really inspiring. And Leia's cuff was really beautiful.
She was really pretty dressed up for evacuating, a war zone. That was pretty. It
was like a bit of queen. There was a regal quality to it, and she's the rebel leader.
Because Mon Mothma, she's not wearing like a bubble vest. Mon Mothma kind of has a little bit more formal stuff on.
But the Star Destroyer, Kylo's TIE Fighter, the Guerrilla Walkers, it's all just like the new thing you already liked. You know, it's like all the great
I bought
shit.
all the
But you're okay with that?
Super deluxe new versions of all these dope vehicles.
Well, those
because at least the prequels tried to like reinvent things. You know,
how fucking massive and gargantuan were those new AT-ATs?
Yeah, because you see the regular.
You see the regular AT-ATs, and they had more of them too.
Yeah. Yeah, the AT-M6.
Yeah, and I love they had that weird stance, you know, they weren't so straight, they kind of like
Big
leaned
Kev
in.
said that was the thing.
They had a gangster lean.
So
Yeah.
they could prevent being like fucking wrapped around and taken down. Like they had like a stability.
Yeah.
Like that was an old problem.
Like they figured that out.
If you look, like there's tons of weight in the bottom of them.
I was going to say, the reinforcement and those stripes, like caution tape looking, but like crazy reinforced.
The thing is, those
Huge.
vehicles will never make any sense.
The Tomica stuff that they're doing, like in diecast of all that, it's just like it's insane. It's so nice.
Can't wait to see it. I have to explore more of the toys.
Okay, so we get Princess Leia, and there's that main moment, you know, that pivotal moment from the trailer where Kylo's gonna gun her.
Has her in her sights.
Why can't he do it? He knows that she's there, right? Obviously, she knows. What's up with that? Why does he not? I mean,
His mother.
He knows it's his mom.
But why?
It's like I didn't feel any better when I did that to my father. So like, is this really?
Well,
gonna
but it
stop?
still
I think
fits in
it's
with this.
indicative of
Let
the
the
fact that he's
past.
changing.
Yeah.
The light's coming in. He's
Or he's
conflicted,
The
and
whole
he knows
time,
it's his
I mean,
mom.
it looks like his sleeves. Like I remember before I even
knows it's
saw
his
the
mom.
Force Awakens. Like I have a 12-inch Hasbro one, just like simple, and you could see him, and it looks like that. Like he's just wrapping himself up in this stuff, and just being like he's just trying to go goth. You know, it's like, oh, if I just wear this tight shirt, like I'm gonna be fucking badass.
Oh, God.
But there's someone that's like in it, and I'm like, he doesn't. He wants to be bad, and he's trying to like lock himself.
He's
into
doing a
this
pretty
thing.
good job of it. I mean, he's pulling it off.
He's emotionally unstable, but you know, he's like acting out, but it's not what's in his heart kind of thing.
Right.
Who knows what's in his
It's
fucking
out in
heart?
his
The kid's a
hands.
fuck up.
But
You
he's
know.
completely conflicted, man, and he's...
Okay, so she gets blown into space, right?
Yeah.
Now, at first, I have to complain. Before we even, just one side note, that whole sequence is controversial.
Mm-hmm.
They killed Admiral Akbar off fucking screen. You know, it's like it's a line in the movie. All the command, including Admiral Akbar, is dead. Like, I'm all for killing good guys.
They showed the moment when he...
Could you not have played it just a little bit? Give us a shot of him dying.
A little more gravitas because it was Akbar.
we love that character and he's part of the original story. It's just like it's a detail, but it's like
a thing that like it makes the impact of the like if you see him like look and be like this, then you know it's coming. Whereas that, it's like, oh my god, like it's more really like if someone you knew died,
couldn't they
you
have
wouldn't
been?
be there to see it, and when you just hear about it, just mentioned, it's
Couldn't
like,
they also have
it's
been?
more shocking.
He could have got
That's a
blown
good
into
point.
space too.
It's like
you
Tom
know?
Hanks in the Saving Private Ryan, where you see the German soldier just shoot a guy, and then you realize that guy is Tom Hanks. You know, and you're just like,
It's
well,
him, and he's just sitting there, just his last few pops.
Yeah, exactly. But when you see the guy go like this, boom, and then he shoots him, and you're like, well, isn't that who we're following? And
Thought it was a missed
It's
opportunity.
more disorienting, I think, when you do.
Thought it was a
that
missed
way.
opportunity.
Oh, totally, yeah.
You know, to give us some.
I
Sort
just
of
wish there was some...
emotional
They
impact.
just gave more to
Just
that
think of
moment.
that big eye that he has. You can see the reflection of like the bolt like coming in on his
You
eye.
could have shown him die on screen, you know. I mean, I
Sounds
guess
like
you
a
do.
lobster,
He's
yeah.
in that. He's like in the background when she
It's just
flies out the window. But okay, so she gets blown into space. Now, first of all, it's preposterous. You would be dead instantly. It's freezing and there's no air. I don't give a fuck. You freeze in 1 second.
There's the whole thing is like there's freezing and there's no air and there's no sound, but because of Star Wars, we're all like, no, there's explosions in space.
So okay, so maybe.
Yeah.
But
No,
did
there's a
you?
whole
Did you?
sound world.
I
You know.
thought
it's
everyone.
not the same physics. You
Everyone
have to give
hated
the-
that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You have to forgive all of that stuff, or
It's
you shouldn't even see these movies. Now, I
Yeah.
thought it was a great moment when she flies through space. People call it the Mary Poppins moment.
Flying
It was spiritual and it was Disney.
Yeah,
And
but
I was really moved. I was like, what the fuck?
especially
She's freezing. She's turning to ice, about face, guided by her hand. That was such a...
it was
You might as well have been on the
magical
cruiser
Disney
looking
moment.
out the window like she
Yeah.
can do that.
I mean-
like, all of us who think we know everything there is to know about Leia, there's something that we don't know.
right.
And if we're going to say, no, she can't do that,
That was her communing with the Force in the most intense and
And-
powerful and direct way in that moment.
what's
Right.
most interesting, what she was able to do is the reason why the whole thing is going down, because Vader feared the death of Padme, or Anakin did, and his whole reason for going with Palpatine was to have the power to bring things back to life again.
Yes.
And that's like, that was his
death.
thing, to defy death.
He was duped into thinking he could completely
but the whole thing is,
dying.
he might have been able to, but his daughter definitely can. And I thought that was like a really interesting thing, you know?
Yeah, and you thought
Agreed.
they trick you into thinking that's how they're going to solve the Carrie Fisher issue. Like, that's where they're just going to kill
Yeah, and that
her.
was funny. Like, that's how she's going to die.
I was like, is that? No, that can't be.
But the thing is, I love that she didn't
Go down
die
like
because
that.
it's like, it so sucks that she's dead. And just seeing that moment where, like, no, she's going to come back for one final act, you know, and just flying through space. Like, she's almost already gone in a way, you know, seeing it. She's
Do you
almost
think there was any
angelic.
consciousness around designing that scene because Carrie Fisher?
I
passed
think
away?
so.
My understanding...
I like to think that
Maybe-
there was a conscious homage there.
My understanding was that all her shit was already wrapped, you
Right.
know, and the movie was in the can by the time she died. So I don't...
She might just go
I
into a
don't
pile
know.
of
Then
clothes.
maybe it was
still.
just some you know.
That's the thing. That's... I
Throughout
don't
the
know.
whole movie-
Some prophetic foreshadowing
Yeah.
between art and life, and which informs the other.
Yeah, but the thing is, I know that they had plans for her to be the sort of a pivotal character in the third movie.
Because she's
It was-
supposed to be all three of them taking, like...
A turn.
A turn.
It was
So
a
I don't
deep
know what
spiritual
the fuck
moment,
they're
man.
gonna
And
do.
the way they slowed it down, the pace of her floating.
Yeah.
Like she just came to life, and it was Peter Pan. Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
She just flew.
And everyone always complains, like, Leia never uses the Force. So she's using the Force, and you're still not fucking happy.
That was the Force.
That was the fucking Force. And this the thing is...
It is what it is. It's
But
not
the
going to
th-
change. So
but
we
the
have
thing
to
is-
accept it.
I liked it. I thought that scene was really beautiful.
The fact that,
really
like, you
special.
can't comprehend it. When's the last time
Right.
that you've been like, oh, no way that character could do that?
It was perplexing, and it was
Yeah, yeah.
it was on the line of, is this whack or really fucking amazing?
I know. Is it whack? I don't know. Why do I like it? But I mean, you got the Force. People use the Force in ways we've never seen it used before.
You felt like Han Solo seeing some shit and not believing in it when you were just like, what? Like, you know, and it's not like that shouldn't happen. It's like everybody who saw that, whether they liked it or disliked it, they were really surprised by it.
Yes.
And that's the impact.
That's
you
the
know?
point of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
And
like
it shifted things in tone and pace, feeling.
you see Luke do that
Suspended
weird
your
projection
belief,
thing,
you know?
which no one's ever done before. The Snapchat between Kylo and Rey have never been done
Snapchat,
before.
the Force
And some
Snapchat,
people
the
get mad
telepathic
about that kind of
Snapchat.
shit, though, because, like, to say, like, if we haven't seen somebody do it, then it's not doable. But the Force is fucking infinite. If you can imagine something, you can find
What's the
you
future
can
of
make it
creation
happen.
and realizing it in any way. I wanted to see the Force manifest in all these interesting ways, knowing the potential and the breadth of it.
Yeah, and the whole thing is, it's not like, it's just like, it's not about the rock that's moving, it's about everything that's in between.
Yes.
So it's like, that
all
can,
the space
that
and
can be
energy
about
in between,
anything.
as Luke taught Rey.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole thing. It's all about what's between us. It's not about us at all.
As matter.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the luminosity of it all between the crude matter, as the Yoda said.
I like the way they didn't overdo the special effects either when they're having the conversation, you know. It's just like cut, cut, cut. It's just all in-camera film techniques with a little audio fuckery.
Yeah.
But it
So
was
I might
just
sound
like...
ignorant, but did she freeze and then turn around and float back?
Who
It
the
seemed
fuck?
like
she
it-
started
she
getting
saw
all
her
icy.
skin.
Yeah.
She got all icy and shit. Which I don't know. Was that what
Was
happens in
it
space?
like some weird hybrid of like translucent blue Force Ghost and ice, and then she flew back?
Yeah, it was something weird.
It just seemed
All
like
I know is everybody
a weird combination
in
of those
every
things for me.
screening of that was just like this.
It was magical.
Like everyone
Yeah, and I
My
gotta say...
daughter was like when she turned around and floated, it was just this.
Yeah, and it's like,
moment.
and there's people complaining about that. My thinking is,
My
if you
daughter was-
watch if you
was
watch that
gasping.
scene as a Star Wars fan and didn't feel something, then you're just dead inside.
It's true.
You're never
I
gonna
agree.
like anything. You know, it's just like you're just a fucking loser if you walked out of that feeling like
Fuck
nothing.
Whoever wasn't moved, I was deeply moved by that.
Okay,
scene.
but okay, so now
And it was like you said, man. I think is the most important thing, that it was surprising.
Yeah.
And
There's
they
tons
managed
of
to
surprises,
pull-
and
they
you just know how to
managed to
handle
pull that
them.
off.
Like, I don't know if I like this or not. Like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
it's
is
a
it whack
fucking
or not?
movie, and you're like,
Yeah.
like, oh, like what the hell?
I know it's like that movie came out like fucking weeks ago, and it's just like still, it's
Yeah,
still
yeah,
a thing.
yeah.
Okay,
And it's just really rich and poignant because of Carrie Fisher passing away.
Yeah.
yeah, and they had
that's
that thing.
the
They had that thing at the end of the
unification
movie.
experience between the movie and real life.
And the space between us and the real Carrie Fisher, and is she like, you're like, so she's still alive in our reality too then, in some weird way. The fact that they gave her that power, of course
Yeah.
she has that power. She's Princess Leia, she'll always be Princess Leia.
A little shout out and segue to Billions, because you guys have had such great dialogue about the Star Wars on Earth. Right? Is
That's
that how
that's
he
his
phrases
thing.
it?
That's his thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to hear what he thought of that.
Yeah,
scene.
I'm gonna have to do another episode of this with him. But
You should just do like a Mystery Science Theater version of this podcast with like Bill like in the corner just like saying things to the screen.
eventually we're gonna have to do that. All right, now we get this Holdo character, which
What's that? Sorry?
Holdo
Okay.
comes in.
Laura Dern.
I thought she was great. She looked cool. Where the
Lavender
fuck
hair.
was this person on the fucking Star Killer base? Where, like, if she's so important as part of the command, where the fuck was she? You know, I just find it.
Another film. They
I
couldn't get
find
her.
it. I just. It
She
just.
was a mermaid in Splash.
I just find it weird that like they just like. Here's this major character. Like you were all
she
on the
was
base
Mary Jo
together.
Hanna.
Where the fuck
Yeah, I
was
just
she?
like, was she one of
Why
the
wasn't she
background
around the
mermaids?
goddamn?
That's awesome.
Doesn't make any sense.
She seemed a little bit like it was weird. She seemed like a teacher, like a substitute teacher in a classroom, in terms of, and I couldn't tell if that's because.
And I gotta lay down my authority.
It's a good analogy.
You know, and I couldn't tell if it was that's who her character was in Star Wars or that's who she was on the set because this is a Star Wars movie and she's Laura Dern. You know, but there was this kind of thing where it's like this awareness of I'm here and the camera's on me or the rebel focus is on me, but at the same time you judged her and you're like you don't really belong here. Like that's how you felt in the audience. And it wasn't because that's how you're supposed to feel. Like you're supposed to be like, we're all rebels.
Her
Who is
presence
she?
in that casting, I know, bugged a lot of people.
Yeah, and it was weird, but I think it works in a weird way where you're like, she doesn't belong there. It's like, well,
It worked
but
in this ironic way, I thought.
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, that's what a lot of people think about her. They tried to overthrow her. Like, if you would have voted in the audience, who wants Laura Dern not to be in charge?
And there was something about what happened and what she decided to do as a character that played into that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Ultimately redeeming herself with the
Yeah,
sacrifice.
Okay, but I mean, there was a lot of dumb shit going on there first. First of all,
I thought she was like a younger Mon Mothma.
yeah, I thought
Yeah,
she was
yeah,
great.
yeah.
I thought it was a great. And the thing is, why can she just not tell Poe what the plan is? Like they have a plan. We're gonna go to Crate. We're gonna ditch the ships and take the.
Because that's how real things are. It's like
But it's like it
above his
went
pay grade.
so far. It went so far when all you had to do is like, listen, Poe. We got this. This is what we're gonna do. Why it caused so much unnecessarily plot? The whole Canto Bite thing wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have gone on the Star Destroyer. None of that shit would have happened if they just told. Why can't they just tell everybody what the plan is?
I think they were setting up a dynamic with like a woman in power and the fact that like they don't need a man's
But the
opinion
thing is, they don't.
on everything that they
but the-
do. She's got the rank. She's
That's
in
fine too.
charge.
And this movie does pass the Bechdel test, which is rare for a Star Wars movie. You know,
a woman talking about things that have nothing to do with men.
two women in a film
Yeah.
having a conversation about something other than a man.
Yeah.
You know, most other Star Wars movies fail that test because there's no other women.
It's an important test.
Yeah, it's an important test. So it passes that test. But I just think the Rebels, you don't really get a sense of what are the rules of being a Rebel. It's like, first of all, Finn is going to jump ship. Why can't he jump ship? I mean, he's not enlisted or conscripted. It's a volunteer force, you know.
I think,
why can't he leave if he wants to
Because
leave?
Rose is just under orders.
But it just,
Right.
you know, it's just like, why? You never got the sense that the Rebel Alliance was so hierarchical, you know, like.
It's another case of a woman
It
having
is, but then it's
power.
sort of like slapdash at the same time.
Yeah, but it's like they let everybody know what the thing is. Like when Mon
the
Mothma
rules
comes
seem
out,
really loose.
everybody's in on what's happening. You know, whether you're a fucking lowly pilot or you're part of the command, you know all the intel and you know what the plan is. Whereas in this case, it was like this is on a need to know basis. Well, why doesn't he need to know? It's like everyone's gonna die because they think there's no plan. Why don't you just tell me I have a plan? I thought it was thin.
It made
I thought it
sense
was
though, because
thin.
Poe just seemed like hyperactive and trying to butt in too much. So it's just like if your character is going to do that, then he has
He
to.
blew up Star Killer Base. Give the guy some fucking slack. I mean, yeah, he
That's
fucked
his
up.
job, you know. Wait for your next job. Just
I thought it was a weak plot point. I think they did that in order to.
It's a little Top Gun-y.
The whole fucking-
like Maverick doesn't do good in Top Gun.
The
you
whole
know?
fucking
like,
plan-
Iceman graduates at the top of the class.
It's
you know?
true.
The whole fucking
Iceman's the
plan to
fucking
go to
black boy. Fuck that.
Canto Bite and find this code breaker. I mean, it's just it's so dumb. I loved Canto Bite. We'll talk about that, but
You
just
loved
like,
it.
Well, for certain reasons.
The music is great because it sounds just like the original Cantina.
But
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah,
But they always have to have the other cantina.
But this is the closest they've gotten.
Yeah, but what's funny about it is the inversion. It's like it's the opposite. It's the almost complete opposite of the Mos Eisley Cantina. It's like
and Maz's place.
but it's Mos Eisley and Maz place are kind of the same.
Yeah.
This is the opposite of that. Yet it's still filled with scum and villainy. That's
It's just
kind
filled
of
with
interesting.
rich scum and villainy.
Yeah, but I thought that was a point. Like, the whole Canto Bight scene wasn't about the plot, because it doesn't move the plot forward. The whole idea of finding this, like, this guy's just gonna jump and leave that casino to go fucking take out the First Order. All his money is coming from people that make money off the First Order. Why is he gonna join the Resistance? It was a stupid plan. Mm-hmm. And she just happens to she presses one button and you see the image of the flower thing. Like, what the fuck? And what's up with the camera? She's talking.
That whole like Maz in action. I mean, it's cool to like let us know that about her, because I thought she was more of a Yoda character.
Me too.
And then I was
I
like,
liked
oh,
that.
wow.
And she's like banging the gun.
And it's like, wow,
with a jetpack.
she looks cooler fighting than Yoda does because of the technology.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, why is she even talking while she's doing this? But then again, think about how we FaceTime people while we're doing shit.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're holding a phone.
you're
It's like this
multitasking
thing,
with
whatever
media
she's
technology.
whatever the device is that she's using to communicate is out here, and it's moving, and it's getting all these different camera angles, and then she leaves without it. So, what the
There's some of that with the
This is
Republic, though, like, where they
stupid.
would be like fighting, and then they'd be broadcasting, like, Kaito Mundi would be like,
None of
we're
the-
doing okay, and he's like
None of the
defending.
technology. Yeah, where is the
Right.
device that's filming this
Well,
stuff?
where was his?
Nowhere, because it's stupid.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but I mean, but there's also other weird things. Then, like with the Force, for example, like when they touch hands and then his thing is wet. It's like that's getting into when like Kylo and Rey are talking.
We'll get there, though. It's like,
We gotta get there.
there's going to be a new, like, social media platform where it's just the humidity level that you're experiencing.
Some of those things just don't
pass it on to
seem.
other people.
I don't know. I thought I thought the design, like looking at the visual dictionary of all the costumes and Canto Bight and everything, were really fucking cool. I thought it looked cool. You thought it was dumb? Or?
No, I thought it was Monaco,
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh,
was
this is
Monaco.
Monaco. I mean, that's
I just feel like we've never really seen that part of the galaxy, so I like that. I like that they
all the new
they
stuff
took
is
it.
cool. There's a little bit too much gloss on the like the prefecture's kind of helmets.
That's your complaint?
Yeah, just visually. Yeah, it's like on the bridges of the First Order stuff. There's too much red glare. It's just like I understand red's cool with the cold gray, but you don't need the glaring off the belt buckles and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. That's even more nitpicking than I would give you
But
credit
that's how I
for.
watch Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay.
At times. Yeah.
I love that cruiser that was on the water,
certainly
and then
did
just
catch
came all
on
those
that.
all
Yeah,
those
yeah.
fancy cars and shit like that, and that cruiser that takes off from the water. That's cool because you don't see that shit in Star
And
Wars.
then
Everything
it
is
was
a
all
different
beat
world.
up.
It was
From
a
the
new planet,
from here to
Canto
Eternity
Bight.
Beach,
It was
where they
pretty cool,
kinda
that shit.
landed,
Yeah, and it's only planet where you get tased for fucking a parking violation.
Yeah.
But they don't tow the thing off the beach.
There was some THX 1138 qualities on Canto
Oh,
Bight.
Yeah.
that's a good point. That makes
Yeah,
more sense
that's-
with the guards.
yeah,
Because
that's
It was
true.
black and white and
Yeah.
values of gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sun
true. I
was
didn't.
really shiny, and I felt like the guards
And you did feel
had that
like
vibe.
once
the
they were on the
costumes,
prison
some of
levels,
the elements.
you're like, this is kind of like Bespin. It's
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
And they had that piano too. I love whenever they show a musical instrument and all that shit. But I mean, this
The
is.
liquids, all the different booze.
I mean, yeah,
all
I
the
think,
different
but this
cocktails.
It just
thematic.
felt very prequel-y. I think we can all
I
say
agree.
that. Yeah.
I hated that aspect of it. I agree, man. I was so down with Canto Bight visually and all the visual languages and the design, but that was a big what the fuck moment for me because it felt way too much like the prequel.
Yeah, and also like it was very heavy-handed about
Even
what
the herd and the way
Yeah.
that CGI,
Yeah,
the way
yeah,
they
that was
moved,
But
a-
in
was
a
like
weird
funny.
way,
too prequel, man.
like how Force Awakens ties in the original trilogy, like maybe they wanted to tie in a little bit of the prequels, in terms to make sure that it makes sense overall.
Sure,
you know?
I'm
Like, you
okay
have
with
to-
that. We have to
Disney
accept
hasn't,
the
like,
prequels.
taken them out of canon.
Right.
So they're
Right.
still there. So this is like, oh yeah, so this is like, it is that world,
Yeah, I mean, this was like a very heavy-handed scene as far as like what it was about, about smashing the 1% and like how the sort of like populism of this, of this an
It just wasn't
anti-capitalist.
Bespin, and we all love Bespin.
Yeah,
love
but
that.
and so I mean
Yeah,
that was okay, Then it was very almost like Christ-like the way they smashed the temple of the money changers and all that shit like that. I mean,
Never-ending story kind of vibe with those big things.
yeah, and the fucking animal rights and all that shit like
Tons of
that.
that
It's
stuff.
like all that
The
sort of
spotlights.
liberal democratic politics just all crammed into one scene,
Yeah.
which is fine with fucking me.
Yeah,
you know, I don't give a shit because
and pertinent contemporary commentary.
Yeah,
on
sure.
the 1%, like you said. And one other thing that was way too prequel for me was the spotlights and the headlights at night with the herds, and that CGI was just...
That's very JJ. JJ would have had, like, screechy gleams, like, all over the place. But then again, you got to think about it, like...
But how that moved into the story and how that really moved, you know, pertained to the story was really off-putting for me.
Yeah, it was weird. And I think it all could have been summed up with, like, when they're showing, like, the Imperial stuff, and then they show the X-Wing. And that's, like, the thing where, okay, we get it, we understand that, but to young kids, to have that moment where it's like, so there's people that are good guys and bad guys? Like, that moment for, like, a young mind, I think is, like, that's a major, you know...
And we should touch on how this movie... is so much more about all the gray in between, the light and the dark.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
And
that's why that
whatever's happening sort of falls into that.
And that's why that DJ character was kind of there in a way to give voice to that.
It's like the Maleficent movie where it's like, oh, the reason why she's really angry is because of this or something like that, where it explains everything and kind of just makes everything more of a gray, you know.
But the thing is, it didn't. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't work out that way. It's like the whole movie, they're teasing this thing between Rey and Kylo about, you know, she's not gonna go bad, he's not gonna go good. They're gonna be in the middle somewhere. But then after all of that wandering, they just sort of fall back to their default positions of bad guy and good guy. And I don't...
It sort of died on the vine for me, man, and I thought that was a really important part of the movie.
I thought that was the point of the movie.
Me
I thought it would have been a more interesting thing is that at the end of the movie, they sort of run off together.
It's so much easier to just keep doing what you're doing, you know, and just go back to your old habits.
It would have been an amazing cliffhanger if the two of them had, like, ditched the First Order and the Resistance and went off and did something that all the other characters are like, what the fuck? You know, that would have been... I thought that would have fit in a little bit more with what this movie was going for.
We're kind of like that because it's like,
because at the end of the movie, when they have that one final little moment where they see each other and she closes the door of the Falcon, that was it. I don't think they're going to go back to that at all. He's going to stay where he is, and she's going to stay where she is, and the plot of the last movie is going to be something totally different. But we have no idea what that's
going to be. Let's not start speculating.
Yeah, let's not even get into that. What'd you think of the Benicio del Toro character? Not so much?
I like that kind of character in Star Wars. You know, like that you can't really... You know, he's like that kind of guy. He's kind of cool. But I just thought his acting wasn't really like... It was a little bit distracting from him just blending in.
Well, yeah.
And, you know, there's the whole thing where, like, Benicio del Toro was, like, just like a darker version of Brad Pitt. And it's like, oh yeah, this guy. But then when he was like doing like the Twitch thing, I was like,
that was so Usual Suspects character for me.
Yeah,
I didn't mind that. But it was funny though. I liked his, you know.
I like the Aurebesh "Don't Join" on the side of his hat.
Don't Join. That's from an Elvis Costello album, isn't it? Don't Join. I think like from an
Bill
old
sent the thing to us about like
Elvis
it's an old Elvis Costello poster.
What I found weird about him is that he was like one of the few like real actors in this movie, like you could tell he like crafted the character with the mannerisms, and it was like a very sort of method actor kind of way. He sort of like really thought about making this and it just seemed like a different style of acting than the rest of the movie, which is just faster, more intense. Like everybody just yells their lines, and just like it's like his acting was more like subtle and more of like an actor's actor way of doing it, that it just seemed kind of like out. But I liked him. I thought he was funny. I thought his lines were good, and what he sort of represented, and like how you would think everyone was like, why wasn't that Lando Calrissian? That's another thing. You would think maybe Lando would be in a place like this, and why is there no Lando? Ryan Johnson said there was no way to put him in the movie that made sense except as like a throwback. So and like the thing is, like, this guy doesn't eventually turn to the good side. He takes the money and he leaves.
It's just business, kid.
Where you've seen both Han Solo in the same position where he gets the money and then he comes back and saves the day, and Lando Calrissian sacrifices everything to do the right thing. This guy doesn't do the right thing, and
he's like what people. He's like he's like what you've heard about Han Solo.
Right.
Like he is that.
The worst shit about Han.
Yeah, exactly. He's Han up until he meets Obi-Wan and Luke.
Yeah, but then he's also like kind of like none of this shit really fucking matters. They get you one day, we get you the next.
That's a pretty focused agenda.
Yeah.
He was in and out.
Yeah. But I thought
and he's not coming back, obviously.
I highly doubt that.
He's not going to be like a skiff guard, like just like
Okay,
Nice.
and again, another garbage chute joke. I don't know why they keep running with garbage chutes. When he comes out of the thing, it's like, that smelled great. It's like they just always have to go through the fucking garbage chute. That was pretty funny, but
yeah.
when all those ships
So much to cover.
blowing up, there's that. Remember when the medical frigate ran out of gas?
Yeah.
And then they blow it up, and the one guy is like, why does it suddenly start to drift? That doesn't make any sense.
Because
Like,
the
it'll
stabilizers
continue
and
on the
every-
same trajectory. No, that's like how propulsion works in space. Because there's no resistance. If it's just like you put something in motion in space, it's going to keep moving. So the whole thing
our
doesn't
space,
really.
so.
But anyway, that one
Okay.
guy is on the ship.
space.
Everybody's been evacuated. It's been a pleasure to serve you. Boom, 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 bye. Why does he have to stay on the ship? Just
that's like
why does
nautical.
Laura Dern have to stay on the ship?
That's a trope, man. You go down
Yeah.
with your ship.
No, why? That's stupid.
That's just the thing, man. That makes
No,
so many
but she
movies
says-
at the end.
no, but it's like, there's no
Titanic, The
reason.
Perfect
The guy
Storm,
doesn't have
Das
to-
Boat.
Stupid.
True.
It's just a film, man.
It's stupid. She just has
You
to.
always go down with your ship if you're the captain. That's your
You
job.
strap yourself
That's
to the wheel.
never been a
Strap
thing in
yourself to
Star
the-
Wars. It's never been a thing because that's a point of honor or whatever. But it's just,
Evacuate now. At our moment of triumph.
that's different because that was hubris because he didn't think the ship was going down.
It wasn't really a ship.
I don't understand why
I think
Laura
it's just
Dern
a-
had to stay on there.
That's just
And
the
why it was only at the last minute she decided to run the thing into
I didn't have
hyperdrive.
a gut reaction like
It's like, why
get out
didn't
of the
you just-
house? There's a head in the toilet. Like, who wouldn't do that? It's like, oh, you're the captain of the ship. You're going down with it. Like, that's just what it is.
She's the leader of the fucking rebellion. Like, why does she have to go down? Well, it's stupid. I thought that was dumb. I couldn't think
Okay,
of
that's
reason. Go down with the ship. Do they really go down with the real? Does that really happen?
Yeah, that's their job. Like, it's mutinous.
That's
Or-
their pride.
Yeah, like that's what
But
they.
that
live
wasn't
for.
even her ship.
Whatever. She's taking command. When you take command, you're the captain.
It's a waste of a valuable asset.
Okay, whatever.
And it was a plot hole. I
You're
thought
not a nautical guy.
it was a plot hole, and
That was the parallel, absolutely.
it's like funny because when we're getting ahead, but she's gonna ram the thing through the thing like that was like an afterthought. Like
She's gonna
after they
sacrifice
started,
herself.
but why didn't she do that immediately?
She could have known, and that's what made it interesting. Make sure everyone's safe, and then kind of do it.
In Rogue One, the same thing happens where
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
ships go to light speed
Yeah.
and they just blow up when they hit the
Yeah.
Star Destroyer. So
And the kamikaze, another great silent moment. And how.
and
my
they show
theater-
it from several
both-
angles all at once.
Both
The
times I
silence at
saw
that
it,
moment was
and did you
intense.
hear people go, oh?
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
both times I saw it, the exact same, like, emotions came out of people. And the first time I was like, well, that's really a unique thing. I didn't say anything, but people were like, oh. you
That
know?
was
Yeah.
tight the way they tied it together, where all the other plot points were at the critical moment when that happened. I mean, that was like such a
And that's in Dunkirk, too, where all the three intersections kind of come
yeah,
together.
that was really masterful. Now, shirtless Kylo, was that a direct riff on Matt the radar technician from Saturday Night Live? Remember when Matt is like talking about that's that gag?
Yeah, my friend Bobby,
Yeah, is that a riff? Because like Kylo's totally shredded. Kylo's got an 8-pack.
I thought it was like a Bolo Young thing from like Enter the Dragon, because it was just like all packs, and I was just like,
And the high waist.
Yeah.
what was up with
And
that?
his girth, his fucking
He's a-
physical
And how
mass.
small his head was.
To show that?
yeah, I was like,
Why
dude,
did they do that?
I don't know. It's
Was
cool.
it just fan service?
How many times you never see
Just
people
to
with
show how big he was.
Rarely show people without their shirt. I think Ryan Johnson said it was to force this weird, awkward intimacy
Yeah, it was
between
cool.
the two of them.
Yeah,
I
Also
love
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah, it was straight up Bolo.
Make it
Like, just
uncomfortable.
And I
That's
felt
something.
one of the reasons why he destroyed his mask from a director's perspective or from an outside, the people, just the crew making the movie, was to show the real breadth and nuance and complexity of Adam Driver as an actor.
Yeah, that's true too.
And you really couldn't get there with the mask on.
yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
it was weird because I'm like, this guy. I mean, I watched All Girls. He's awesome in that show.
Yeah.
He's
and
amazing in that show.
Yeah, and then like to be like, they're gonna put that guy in a mask. Like, this isn't like David Prowse. This is like, this dude's like toast of the town right now. you
Yeah,
know?
but that's the thing.
Exactly.
He doesn't really need the mask, and he doesn't need to hide himself in all those symbols of evil. And now that he's going further and further into the dark side, he's the villain, even
And
when he's
serve the
naked.
story and certainly serve the quality and the range of the actor.
And it also
it's
there
that
was
time.
a weird sexual tension between them.
And
I
it's
mean,
the moment-
Meg was getting fucking wet in the panties watching the two of them together.
Yeah, and it's the moment too in Empire where like which admiral is it, comes in and Vader's thing's going down. There's
Yeah.
like this intimate, like, ooh, Vader's putting his girdle on or something
Right.
like that. Like you kind of have that thing, like, yeah.
I told you to never call me on this wall.
But it's different though, because when you see Vader without his shit on, it reveals all these vulnerabilities. But when you see Kylo without it, it shows even more
that's
strength.
interesting.
Like you didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
how fucking diesel he
Yeah.
was. You know, he looks kind of lanky or
What
skinny,
about
and
the
then
Vader
he's.
reveal in Rogue One where he's just like in the tank? Like
Oh
that,
God,
you know?
yeah,
The
it's
boxy
sad. I
tank.
mean, he's
Oh,
almost
man.
the opposite of Vader, you know,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's just like Vader fucked up and got
You don't
tricked
need
into
these
going
things to make you strong.
evil.
I think Kylo, because of Adam Driver, is just a really rich character.
Yeah.
I love him. Yeah, I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
just a
He's so much
really
better than
important
Vader.
level of good acting, and all that he embodies in the world. Like you said, he's the toast of the town right now. His performance in Girls, he's got some cool other roles kicking. Patterson was a really
Yeah, Patterson
understated,
was
really
great.
quiet
Yeah.
special film
Yeah.
that I thought he did a really beautiful job in as a poet.
And just who he is as
as
a
an
person.
awkward, yeah.
And like as an awkward dude that has a lot of like emotional rage kind of tendencies, you know, and he's really good at that. You know,
He's so weird looking too.
you gotta
man.
watch
He's got the
Girls 'cause it's
strangest
just
fucking
like
face.
it is like watching Kylo Ren sometimes, like dating Lena Dunham.
Hats off for that casting call, man. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just,
yeah.
Okay, so we get the Rey in the cave scene.
There's
now.
real weight there.
What about
whole
that?
movie.
When she goes into the cave and they have that weird mirror. Was that
Millions
cool or
of rays.
stupid?
Well, it was Empire Strikes Back. Take with you only what is it? Take with you only
Yeah,
what you.
and there's nothing. She doesn't have anything. There's
it's
nothing.
just
In,
her in
there's
there.
nothing in there. It's just her.
Well, that's the whole point.
There's
Everything
that weird
she
thing when
needs is
you
just
when she
herself.
says, "Show me my parents," and you see the shadow approaching.
Oh,
and it
that
looks like it's
moment.
going to be two people, and then it just becomes
It's
one.
just her.
and it's just her. And there's no. And she's like, There was a weird.
That's like the
device.
psychological descent into the cave of self.
Yeah, but it's
Like
weird
in
because
Empire
when
Strikes
Luke went
Back,
into the
it's
cave,
just-
there was something there. There was
Himself.
Yeah,
It was
but
himself.
It was
his
himself. It
face.
was total parallel, man.
Yeah, same.
It had the Vader mask, and then
But,
and
yeah.
it was his own
but
face.
there was some.
Show me my
and
father. Yeah.
as a 10-year-old, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that face just looked like so pasty in
They
there.
they
yeah.
did a strange device in that scene where she's in the scene and then
The
she
mirrors.
starts narrating what's happening. She's like, I came here looking for answers, and she's sort of describing. She's like, I knew this didn't go on forever, and she's sort of narrating what's happening in the scene, and I'm like, what's going on? And then at the end, they realize she's explaining what happened to Kylo. But that was just, it was a weird way the character, it turned out that was actually sort of a flashback
And I think
that
all
she
the
was
images,
speaking over, which is strange.
they
It's
weren't
like a house of
duplicate.
mirrors.
I think they were all unique shots that were timed. Like it was like it wasn't perfectly
Yeah.
aligned. Like I think each version of herself was different. You know, I think
That's
they
cool.
You know, because I was like looking like this isn't just like mirrored. This is like stacked, built with individual pieces. I think. You
Right.
know?
Like stop
That's what-
motion in a sense. Like it's a
No, they didn't fucking
Watch it,
shoot
dude,
every
because
one
like
of those.
just like the slightly different movements of the wrists, it's not only timing. There's like a visual thing where it's not perfectly echoed.
interesting. I'll have to.
Yeah,
I'll have to
really
check
pay
that out
attention
again.
Second time around.
So then we get.
But I like the infinite Ray, and then it was just her at the end.
Yeah, that was well done. A lot of people thought that was a stupid scene, but they can fuck themselves.
But like that Leia scene, it was a really beautiful, special, unique moment in the film.
And the thing is, like, I liked how they
just
didn't.
that visual.
they
If you
don't
pause
really.
that, and it was like infinite rays. That's
And
that's
it's all
I don't know, that's
silent.
simple
deep
techniques
commentary
and
about
shit.
moments in time and mortality
Yeah,
and yourself at any given moment in time.
yeah.
And
The
you
head-
felt that. It was a
and I
lifetime.
love- I mean,
the headspace you're in when you're watching her, you're as deep into her thoughts as she is because of the visual stuff that was making whatever it was doing to you.
Yeah.
It was putting you where you needed to be with her.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
because Ray is the new Luke in all these ways, and what that character embodies as a reflection, as an archetype, I think you're supposed to be You're supposed to mirror yourself right in that moment.
And then we get the climax of the Octo scene where Luke busts her talking to Kylo, and they have that stick fight, which was pretty cool. I think it was sort of like a lightsaber fight, but with
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
you
They're
know,
pretty pissed
you know.
at each other.
Yeah, and it was a
were.
good
Yeah,
fight. It was a
yeah.
good fight. And then she picks up the saber, and that shot of her in the rain, it was just like really good. And then she offers him the saber one final time, and then you see the Falcon just disappear into the clouds. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was so fucking good.
Agreed, man.
And then And then fucking Luke is I'm gonna burn the tree down. What a dick. He's such a dick. He's always been that impulsive guy. He's always been that guy. And then he can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he makes up his mind and then he can't. It's like, I thought that was totally in character for Luke.
Yeah.
You know, he was never really suited for any of this
The
shit.
thing is, he doesn't
He's clumsy.
know. Yeah, he doesn't.
He was
really
just
know
going to
his
Tashi
destiny.
Station to pick up some
It's
power
power
converters,
converters.
and then the day went south, and
Yeah.
now he's on. Now he's going to destroy the Jedi Temple, and then fucking Yoda shows up. Do we like the Yoda bit? Or
I did.
Yeah.
I was
was-
stoked to see Yoda. It was a surprise for me.
He was much more Empire Strikes Back Yoda.
What
too.
was the real puppet?
They brought back Frank. They brought back.
The puppet.
Yes.
And Frank. Well,
They
Frank Oz did the voice in the prequels, but he was all CG in
But
the
they
prequels.
they cast the puppet from the original puppet mold.
Right.
Because the puppet itself had disintegrated.
Yoda was an asshole in the prequels. He was a boring,
He's like Dungeon
strict
Master,
dick.
yeah.
And now, but he's cooler when he's the sort of eccentric, kind of cackling jokester. You know, I find that weird. I find it weird that 30 years later he's still floating around, paying attention to what's going on. You know, it's just like that's what always makes. I wonder about the Jedi spirits. Like, when do you? Can you just always come back as a Jedi spirit no matter what and
I'm
for
pretty
whatever
sure
reason,
that-
or just after
Well,
a while?
what's time and space in the afterlife?
And you're
on the other
thinking-
side of things, it's up to.
But then why
infinite
didn't Obi-Wan
amount
Here's
of
the
come
thing:
back?
the life force is out there.
speculation.
Is Obi-Wan really in control of his ghost? Is Yoda really in control of his ghost, or is the person that's channeling them kind of turning them on and getting the information that they need from them? I always saw it more
So
as
like
that.
Yoda,
Interesting.
like Yoda,
You know,
the intent,
like
like Yoda
Yoda's
has,
everywhere.
and he just the
But when he comes
Force,
to Luke, he tells Luke what Luke needs to hear.
and it's almost like Luke
like
is
God.
conjuring him in
Yeah.
a way.
It's not like God is specifically going to everyone's prayers, but like if you tap into it, like
You can individualize it,
Yeah,
to-
exactly,
in a
yeah.
way that
And
can speak to you. Yeah, that makes
And
that
it
makes
manifests
sense.
in the form that you
That
can
makes sense.
recognize or utilize.
Yeah, and it's all based on your like what he knows about Yoda, what Yoda's already said, what you know yourself.
And even the
already,
Force
you know,
knows what Yoda would say,
Yeah.
or the Force knows what Luke needs to hear.
I just
Yeah,
thought it was
Luke
a
needs to
poignant,
hear
well-timed moment for Luke and Yoda to come back together.
Yeah, I mean,
and
they
Luke
had a
needs
good-
to
they always
hear it,
had a
but
good
in a weird
banter.
way.
Yeah.
The spirit of Yoda is telling him something that Luke probably knows and is projecting, and just hearing it through. Like, use the Force, Luke. Like when he takes the
Right,
thing
it
off.
does- yeah,
it's
use
really
the Force,
himself
Luke.
saying that, but he needs to hear it.
Well, I
coming
think
from
Force
Obi-Wan.
ghosts are one's conscience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
But this Force Ghost is able to call down lightning and and burn that
it's
thing
like when
down.
we hear things
And
in
he
our
has every
heads.
right to be right.
Without maybe our parents' voice or something like that, you know. But it's really us. But we're, you know.
Yeah, but it did something in the physical world. It actually destroyed that tree.
Well, that's fine. Yeah.
That was odd. I don't know. I didn't know if that
It's
was
the Force. It's the space in between it.
It's the-
Exactly. And he
Yeah.
dissolved those boundaries.
Yeah.
He came back as the Force ghost, but his Force powers channeled that storm and the lightning
There's
bolt.
only one life force on that island, and it's Luke.
Right.
So Luke burnt that thing down by bringing Yoda, by having Yoda tell him these things, by Yoda manifesting fire. This is all because Luke is there
He
by
willed it.
himself. Yeah, exactly.
But the
Yeah,
books weren't
it's
even in there anyway.
yeah,
Did you, just backtracking, did you guys notice when Rey took him out?
You don't
No.
see her take them.
You don't
You just
see
see
him.
him
It's
in the
all-
drawer.
it's all-
They're at
right.
the end of the movie when
You
Finn
only
is
see where they
looking.
end up.
yeah,
Yeah. You don't know when that tree is burning down. You don't know that the books are gone.
Yeah.
You only see at the end when Finn goes to open up the drawer to get the blanket for Rose that the books are there. And he's
They're
like, "What are
there.
those?" And then he closes it.
And it's nice too because
I
when
need to
Yoda's
research
like,
those books,
"Oh,
man.
these
I hope
books
there's no
suck."
imagery on
They're
them.
gonna
don't mean-
publish those books.
They're gorgeous, man. They're beautiful.
Like when Yoda says, like they don't mean anything. I
I'm
think
gonna
at that
read
point,
Page turners. That was
yeah,
weird.
page turners they are not or whatever, and you're just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you're just kind of like, you know, we're getting rid of everything now, so yeah, fuck the books, and the fact that they bring the books back is like, you thought we were jacking up Star Wars, but no, we're not.
There's
Like,
no book burning in
Yeah,
Star
yeah.
Wars.
But in
exactly,
a way,
yeah.
I mean, they set up this whole interesting premise about time for the Jedi to end. Last Jedi, destroy the books, fuck orthodoxy.
Killed past.
And then at the end, they're like, you know what, we're going to keep it, actually.
I think
The
it was
Jedi
like-
will return again.
I think
Well,
they're
that's
just
good.
relics. It's like a Chapor snippet.
And that's a nice thing to do because everyone was like, I was like, yeah, you don't need the books, but I'm like, oh, you got the books, this is gonna be good, you know. It's like they made the audience, I think, switch.
And it
We
was
all
just-
agree with Yoda.
It was just cool that the books survived.
Yeah.
As physical
I
objects.
think
as
like Yoda
relics.
and Rey had a little chit chat or something like that. I don't see why not. You know.
I don't know. I think it muddies
Interesting.
up. I think it muddies up the themes. a little bit by sort of saying, like, are we killing the past? Are we not? Are we having a different relationship with the past? It's just not... It's not, and like the Jedi should end, and it makes sense that they should end, but now they're not going to end, or it's going to be a different kind of Jedi. I think it muddies it up.
Those are all really good questions.
It muddies it up. There's that little mutiny subplot where fucking they take over the thing, and it's just so funny how, first of all, they shoot each other with stun, the little circles. You haven't seen stun since the first one.
Except for stun.
And it's just so funny how they have a mutiny and they don't really want to hurt each other. No, and then when it's all over, they're like, I like him. He's kind of a hothead, isn't he? Yeah, let's keep him around. Fuck it. Yeah. You're all forgiven. Which is weird because it's like
family drama shit.
But it's also inconsistent because they're gonna tase Finn and arrest him for jumping ship. But this guy actually drew a weapon on the commander and took over the ship, and then they're just gonna fucking let him off the hook.
Watch Das Boot.
It's a classic.
Yeah. Johan loses his stuff.
I haven't seen that in a long time. I saw that with my dad.
But that's why I feel it's weird, again, why they let those characters die with the ship. It's like almost like there's not a lot of us left. And we're not bound, the rebellion isn't bound to these strict rules like a real military. Every person counts, Sort of willingly sacrifice somebody didn't seem like something that they would do. Just exemplified by the fact that they don't throw Poe in the fucking jail. They just say, whatever, you're just a wayward son. You can.
That's how things are on the inside. Like most things.
It seemed like there were two standards there. We get to see one of the Millennium Falcon's escape pods. Most of the escape pods have been jettisoned. We see it just this weird coffin thing that you lay in.
There's a variety of them, and they're all different designs.
Yeah, maybe there was supposedly a ship that fits in
between the two things.
Yeah,
and it looked kind of like that, right? When it shot out, sense. I was like, "Is that going to come out of there?" But instead, it comes out of the back.
That would have been cool if it came out of the front.
I was expecting it.
I love that scene where the Falcon just sort of comes in, drops the shuttle, and then bounces out. Boom! It looks so fucking cool.
Yeah, man.
And then you get this was kind of like the centerpiece of the whole movie, I think, when she goes up to the throne room and you see that they mimic Return of the Jedi with the elevator and the conversation, and the fucking throne room was like exactly the same setup.
But you know what it is exactly visually like? Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, Marilyn Monroe thing, that Madonna's Material Girl.
Yeah. But red, not pink.
But the original Diamonds it's all red.
Oh, okay.
Marilyn Monroe.
Cool.
And did you notice that there's crane shots? And it's like it looked like it was a choreographed MGM dance.
It looked like a Fred Astaire, Rogers thing.
Yeah,
it looked like a ballet. It was everything.
Dope. So minimal. And the red walls, the new guards were
with just that one dash of gold in Snoke. It was really cool.
And I thought there was another Madonna reference too, where because they're kind of voguing.
Yes.
That was so brilliant.
The minimalism of that interior design was really
I know, that was really great.
And I just all got torn down and was just in tatters after.
It's just the use of red, Kurosawa. That was
I love that because it's funny when you look at that and how sort of like the practical, believable movements and everything. I'm watching the trailers for all the other fantasy movies that are coming out, and it's just this visual assault of noise and movement, and just every little space of the screen is filled. And the way the Star Wars movies are just, they breathe and they're open and there's minimal contrast, just so fucking good. It's so superior to anything else. And those guys, those Praetorian guards were pretty cool.
Praetorian, that's right.
You never see the Royal Guards do anything, and what would they do with all those robes? Do they throw them off? But those guys totally failed anyway because Snoke died. They didn't do shit. It was too late. Kylo...
It was like Godard meets some kung fu movie.
Did that fuck you up when he killed Snoke, though? Did you see that coming? When Kylo whacked Snoke?
Well, you see his hand doing it.
No, but I mean...
I liked how it happened.
Yeah, but I mean, once you see that happening, you know it's going to happen. But did you think that was going to be the outcome in any way?
No, it was totally surprised.
I thought Snoke was going to be the big bad for the whole thing.
And that's the moment when you were talking about the raising of the X-Wing in Empire. That's where you have that moment where that X-Wing is coming at you. Mm-hmm. It was the same shot with the lightsaber coming at you. And it's the thing that makes...
I noticed that too.
And you're just
because of the turn.
Yeah.
It came towards you, but didn't it kind of... I feel like
it was that moment when Yoda does that thing and Luke's like, holy shit, this shit's real. And you're like, holy shit, Kylo just killed Snoke. And it was and the music was and the thing was just coming like the X-Wing. And I was like... That's that shot.
It's
the
cool
exact
parallel.
same shot.
Yeah, I didn't notice. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you think there's some connection to those
Ryan
moments
Johnson
besides
talked
just the
tons.
visual aspect
No, he
of
said
it?
he wanted to do shots that were in Empire, like all the shots of Poe
So
with the
cool.
rebel screens behind him, or
Right.
like the shots of Han at Echo Base,
Right.
you know, where they're shooting up at him and stuff.
It was
but
so-
that was that moment, and it's just again, you're just silent, and you're just watching that thing coming towards.
And then the
camera.
hand comes up and grabs it. And it was funny how his hands were still on the thing. Like,
Yeah,
the fucking
yeah.
torso got cut
Yeah.
off. And then you see him later with his fucking tongue hanging out. He was just brought low.
Like Clytus.
What
and
he got
Flash Gordon.
he was
Yeah,
just
with the
slaughtered.
eyeballs.
Clytus.
Yeah.
And, dude.
What a piece of shit that guy was. Fucking Snoke. He sucked. He fucking
Well,
sucked.
yeah.
You know, that was interesting because it's like, in a way, you're pulling
It
out
made
the
you
fucking...
hate him.
Yeah, and that little conversation. Okay, so we find out that her parents are nobodies, which I think makes total sense. Everybody wanted some big reveal. You know, even Snoke says it. I suspected a Skywalker, but no, it was wrong. And now she's just nobody. I don't know how he knows, or is that just something he can read in people?
I feel like he bluffs a lot.
You
Like
think that's false? You think that's false? I don't think they would do something like that.
No, I'm not saying that they're going to give her like incredibly historical parents. I'm just saying Snoke's character
Bluffs a lot.
bluffs a lot and he's a know-it-all, kind of like somebody else that's in charge right now, you know. And it's
Right.
just like there's nothing to that. Where he's like, "Oh, I know what you're doing."
No, but when
you're
Kylo
going to
says
get
it-
your lightsaber and you're going to cut, you know, and all of a sudden he's like, "No, it was you.
you
know?
missed
He's
it.
just an asshole.
Just shut up. You don't know what
At
you're talking
any
about."
given moment.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I
that's
mean, that was a
just who he
perfect
is.
just shut up guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but like, she finds out the story of her parents, which I think underscores the whole point that anybody can have the Force, and it just comes where it comes, and the legacies don't matter, and the connections don't matter.
And it brought it back
And
from
she's
the
like,
prequels.
with Anakin. He's like, you're nobody. You have no part in this story, but to me, you do. You know, and then that was weird how he needed her. He almost needed her to go to his side more than she needed him. Because she was like, all right, you don't want to do it? That's too bad. Fuck you. And he's like, please. You know, it's almost like he has to double down on the path he's taken. And with her not going along with it, it's like, you know, that's what sends him into that fucking third act insanity, you know, where he just goes on a fucking burn it all down shit. But, I mean... And we're not realistic of him to think that she would just let the resistance just fucking blow up. And she's like, you're not letting go. You're still attached, you know? And it's like, but he's still fucking attached too. He's just as attached as
He's
anything
projecting
else.
the whole time.
Yeah. But that was...
And they're both feeling the pull in different ways.
I mean, that's the
Right.
reason why I feel like I don't know where the story can go now. You know,
Well,
it seems
it's
like
like-
they're sort of entrenched in their positions. And
I see, like, it suggests that the only thing is it's either fight or compromise, because neither side will ever win.
yeah, there'll just be another
Which is,
version of this battle somewhere.
It's just a version of our political system and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like,
Right.
there's always going to be people that feel this way, and there's always going to be people that feel this way. You can't change either side.
Right. So now it's really just incumbent on the what happens to these people in that larger
Exactly,
narrative,
yeah.
and it's just like I don't know what else is there for Kylo to do, you know, because he's
That's
already
good, though.
flirted with the light in him. His mom, Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia is just going to be dead. I don't think there's going to be any. I don't know if she's going to be in it. They say they shot some stuff that they might use in the third movie, but I don't know how they explain where she is, and that was such an important part, I think, to his character. So I don't know what the fuck
At this
they're gonna
point,
do.
after this movie, like,
It could have ended here.
well, I'm just saying, but in terms of speculation, I'm just like, whatever. I'm just gonna sit down and
Yeah, man.
see what they're gonna tell me. You know, because you can't. This thing totally destroyed. I mean, it's like, kind of like the Force Awakens. Like, you didn't know any of that stuff was gonna happen. You know,
Right.
It was
What stuff?
just how the story unfolded, you know, and stuff like that, you know, like, and in this movie, everyone's like, oh, we saw Force Awakens, so we know what's going to happen next. It's like, nobody knew that
But
Vader
nobody's-
was Luke's father. Like, that
But
was...
nobody's talking about Episode 9 like that. I don't think.
I
There's...
think after this, you can't, because they're definitely not going to spec... This is the first time they've had a sequel in the new iteration of Star Wars.
Right.
And it's definitely, they're like, we're just keeping it moving.
But it's like a clean slate. Like at the end of
Just
Empire,
trust that
there was
this
an
is just the
agenda.
middle movie in the arc of the trilogy.
Yeah, but usually the middle movie is supposed to end in a cliffhanger. That's how it's traditionally done. And it's like, for Jedi, I mean, Empire set up Jedi. You know, the point, go and rescue Han and then
Right.
kill the Empire. It's like,
If you're Kylo, you're like, we got this. There's like hardly any of them left.
as far as they know,
They got
gone.
like one Jedi. The other dude's gone. So it seems like,
and all these people.
It seems like the Empire
galaxy
is just like, like it's like them on the medical frigate at the end of Empire. It's like, what are they reduced to? It's just like the 4 of them that are there, and it's kind of the same thing.
That's
and you're like,
point.
The power of the Empire.
I bet there's going to be a time jump.
Pretty strong, especially now. There's not even Snoke in the way.
But the proportion and the odds has always been so disparate. And extreme between the rebels and the Empire.
Yeah, but with I don't know, does Kylo even? What does he want? Does he even care about running the galaxy and taking over the First Order and just imposing some sort of?
No, I don't think he wants that.
But what's he gonna do? And why doesn't he just dip and let Hux keep all that shit?
He wants to make the galaxy great again.
Okay, now what's up with Captain Phasma? What a wasted character. At least we got to see some action, but it's nothing.
Doesn't have to be. I don't know. She's kind of like Boba Fett,
But just because it's cool.
Maybe. I don't know. There's some interesting thing. I always thought she was just mostly droid. Because of her hands. She has C-3PO's hands, so I'm like, okay.
I mean, there's obviously a person in there. We did get to see the face. That was pretty interesting. I think
she's humanoid. She had a bad accident a long time ago.
But if you look, there's no respirator on her mask. The way it's designed. So I think
I don't know if any of this shit is going to really fucking matter. She seems like she's just there for the spectacle of it. Although I don't think
they're going to go into it.
She's going to be in the last movie. Because Orion Johnson said,
you think?
They asked her, is she dead? And he's like, well, she's like the Kenny of these movies.
Yeah.
Kenny.
So I think
that makes sense. I could see her having a thing where she sacrifices herself.
You killed Phasma.
For something.
I just wish there was something more to that character. It's I wish she was a little bit more involved in the plot or the command or the motivations of the First Order or just what is she there? What is she there for?
She's a great action figure.
No, I just think especially now that Snoke is gone,
out female super tall stormtrooper.
I just feel like she's not being utilized, and I want to know.
She's really underutilized as an actress.
Yeah, and I want to know who that character is, and I want that character to do something more to the plot rather than just come out and fight, And I think she could have kicked Finn's ass. I guess she did, and then he just caught her by surprise. He did call her Chrome Dome.
Yeah,
Chrome Dome.
Little G.I. Joe kind of stuff.
There was a couple of strange phrases in the movie.
There was.
Well, it's like Droid Please in the first one.
Yeah, but then...
can we do that?
Bad.
Yeah.
Droid Please.
Whack.
Yeah.
But then in this one, there was Big Ass Gun.
Yeah.
He said, we're going to destroy their big ass gun. That was weird. Never heard them say ass before.
Right.
And then Holdo says Godspeed when they all go away. Now, who the fuck is God in this world? I mean, we don't... What is
There's
that?
tons of stuff.
No, but it's Star Wars has always kind of managed to keep its vernacular kind of self-contained. It never really sounded so contemporary or colloquial, that it did.
You need George Lucas writing the dialogue. The A and B dialogue, and Marcia changing it a little bit for him.
There was that one bit where fucking Hux looked like he was gonna when Kylo's laying Atlas knocked unconscious. It looks like Hux is gonna fucking cap him. Did you notice that? Okay, we're almost done now. Okay, so now we get to the fucking final act where they go to Crate. You probably thought that was a cool ass planet, right?
Love that planet.
My
whole family loved that shit.
That was a
minerals, salt, red revealed right under the surface.
That was pretty interesting.
Beautiful.
What was real? The lines in the sand or the salt.
They could convey violence without showing blood.
That's the device. That's how red is used in Star Wars.
Yeah,
that's used to great effect in the last.
Yeah, you only see blood once in the cantina with the arm. That's before it was canon.
Yeah.
And the finger marks on Finn's helmet.
That's true. You're right.
That's really it.
When you see, because you see these violent motions, and then you see the foot slide. And you're just picturing the blade going through somebody. But Luke's feet don't kick anything up.
Nope. Well, that was one of the sides.
There's a lot of tells. He doesn't make any noise.
Yeah.
And
he looks younger. And his hair is shorter.
And he has the lightsaber, which you saw get destroyed earlier.
And then the thing is, he looks like.
And it's the blue one. Right?
It's the original lightsaber, which you knew he didn't have. So when I saw that, I'm like, what? This movie's... Because I was already decided I hated the movie.
I was so mad.
I was like, nah, you're just being lazy. I was such a fool.
I was stoked when the first time I saw it. I was like, holy fucking shit, he's not even there.
You caught that before the reveal?
No. But I'm just saying that I love that that's what it was once I realized.
It was confusing because you're just last looks.
I knew something was up. I
mean,
knew it
he's
was really
definitely
weird.
not-
There were signs.
He could have maybe
but I didn't
cut
know
his
quite
hair.
what they were.
And I thought that was a thing of like how people take selfies and make themselves look younger.
Oh.
You know, and I was like, is that a comment on that?
That was one thing I was like, huh?
Yeah, no, totally. Because I was
Brown
like,
hair?
last look
He looks
was
younger.
not that.
He looks younger. What's going on? This is fucked
But
up.
then it was the version that Kylo knew. Because if Kylo
Right.
saw like withered old Luke, he wouldn't. I don't. Maybe he would have like had
That's a
maybe
really
sympathy for
interesting
him or something
point.
like that. But he saw like the
like that determined
brash
the form of the hologram
that he needed to see.
that he needed to, or that he was able to see because it was in his own consciousness.
Yeah.
It was in his own memory.
Yeah.
He gives Leia those Han Solo's dice, which better be in the Han Solo movie. They better have
There's a
those.
lot of talk about
Han
the dice,
Solo?
dude.
The dice is weird because again, it's like there seems to be some physicality to it, and it persists even after he's dead. Like Kylo finds the dice and
Right.
picks them up, and they disappear. Like
Does he know they're his dad's?
yeah,
those
but
were-
like the dice are still hanging on the fucking rearview mirror of the Millennium Falcon. You could just walk over there and take them. Like
they didn't even show it though.
no, but I'm just saying, why does he have to make these like a hologram, an illusion of the dice when they're not lost?
I think he
they're
was-
hanging in the Millennium Falcon.
I think he needed to be Han for Leia, because he's the only one that can do that. And at the end, when he goes, "I'll see you around, kid," like that was
Great
him.
line.
Like he was embodying Kylo's father, and maybe that was Han coming through Luke too to talk to his son.
Absolutely.
You know.
Would love a Han
In
Han
tone,
Force Ghost.
in word, in language.
Yeah, and it was
in the aesthetic that he chose to present himself.
Right, yeah, he did seem like a little Han Solo-ish.
And I think that's just because Han's spirit's out there too, and Luke's spirit's out there, and
That's
everyone's trying to talk to this kid to fucking, just.
But nobody was trying to talk to him at that point.
No, they're trying to let him have his. Okay, how
Let him
mad
have
are
his
you?
thing.
Just fucking be
It's
mad.
like,
Just
if you
realize that there's nothing here to be mad at. You know,
if you
like,
strike me down, I'm gonna be with you forever.
Yeah.
That was a great
And
line.
I'm still
Yeah.
That
gonna
was a
see you.
great shift in that line.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Han probably would have.
Really good wording.
Yeah, like
Phrasing.
even though you killed me, I'll still see you around. I'm still your father. I still love you. You know.
Yeah.
like,
I
Even
love that's such a cool observation, man, because as soon as I heard him say, "See you around, kid," I felt Han.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah. And I think
that's
he was
his
channeling.
dad.
Yeah.
And Luke was really close with his dad, and they were all family members.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And I think no matter who you are, no matter what the kids do, they're the kids, they're the babies. You understand what they do, you know, like there's that in this a lot.
But the
you know?
generations and the whole family configurative dynamic aspect of Star Wars was really illuminated for me in this one. My kids, but everything about the storyline, ending with the Oliver twist on Broadway, sweeping, picking up the broom, like that was so Disney, but magical, positive, and open, and infinite, and like I really
Yeah, it was masterful.
How many little kids are just doing this with
the
a broom
generational torch,
And I
in
love how
every
they're-
way is totally being passed. The
Exactly.
baton's being
Very
passed.
successful. And I loved how they're playing with the action figures at the end.
That was dope.
I mean, it's so obvious and kind of hokey in a way, but like really perfect,
That's why I said
because
to
that
the
really
lobby.
speaks to the adults watching the movie, about how important the figures are, and what a how the figures embody the thing.
Yes.
They're more than just the object,
Yeah.
and that was and they were handmade figures.
Yeah.
Bootleg.
Well, I said
figures.
that to
They
you.
were
when-
like wicker or
made out of fucking
made of
straw.
sticks and straw.
Like you were
and
really
twigs and stuff.
not feeling the movie, and I remember the only thing I said to you, I go, "Well, Morgan, we're not kids anymore."
Did you guys? Yeah. Did you guys see it together?
Yeah,
Yeah.
first time, yeah.
Does that trick that Luke play at the end, does that kill him? Does he have to sort of forgo his body in order to do that force projection gag, or was that just his time to die?
Both. I think they're one and the same. I think they're inextricably linked.
Yeah, I think
Personally.
it is what had happened. The music made it seem like it was appropriate, and that's just what happened.
But it's almost like he can't return to his body after that. Or,
It took the most extraordinary conjuring of that spiritual power and ability and energy and physicality, and it was so taxing that
Yeah.
that was his final
I
act.
mean,
it was like
he-
serious,
and I like
transcendental
his-
kind
yeah.
of. Yeah,
that was
like,
the TM moment of the fucking world.
Yeah,
man.
it is.
Like,
But it was almost just like an extended or hybrid force ghost thing, where
it's everywhere now. Like Luke
Yeah.
is just like everywhere.
and he
kinda
died
just-
in peace and purpose.
Or he
I liked
just
when she
went to
said
the
that.
next
yes,
thing.
great
Yeah, yeah.
final word, the
Yeah.
word purpose. And I thought with all they didn't show Luke do, as far as all the Force powers or lightsaber wielding or whatever knowledge he acquired over the, accumulated of the Force throughout our 40-year arc since we were 7, 7 and 77, that moment it crystallized it all.
It's the ultimate Jedi mind trick.
It was insane.
Yeah. It's a Jedi mind trick. Like that's
the whole movie.
No, what Luke does at the end. Like
it's the ultimate Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, it's just everyone saw it. Like everyone saw that. And it's just like it's like confusing the stormtroopers. No, these aren't the droids you need.
Right.
It's like he did that to like that entire
the
invading
whole planet.
But the idea of it took a lifetime of knowledge and strength and energy and skill and training, and then that was his final fucking act.
How did they know? How did he know where they were?
And if you think about what that was, to show the Force and that absolute Buddhist transcendental meditation power, capacity, the way it was depicted, that was a really profound final scene.
Yeah.
The fact that I can be moved after the life I've lived and all the the disappointments I've experienced, to still be able to be moved by these sort of like tearjerker tropes, these just sort of basic, like film techniques and just storytelling things that have been done again and again and again, to see it as an almost 50-year-old person, and like I'm fucking sitting in a theater like fucking openly weeping, and just thinking like that's amazing.
Imagine
that
having your own offspring in your arms,
I know,
holding
but
your head at the really scary
I'm so
moments
thankful that I can feel these things,
Yeah.
that it wasn't really lost. And I feel bad for the people that are sitting there like this going,
it's just one of those things. So
I just feel bad for them.
I'm not saying that they're not entitled to feel the way they do. It's just I had a lot of like, after I saw it the first time, I was confused. Did people say, "Oh, what'd you think of it?" on Instagram? And I was like, not gonna do it, because
I don't have an answer.
First of all,
I have no conclusion.
After I saw it the first time,
it took
I had
3
tons
hours
of
to
issues,
explain what we think of it.
Tons of issues with it,
right?
But I also
Same.
understood at the same time. I'm like, I love this whole thing so much that I know better than to just start throwing stones at this thing.
That's a really important point for all of us, and all of our speculation and projection and hope and finding those glimmers of magic and the holiday special and the introduction of Boba Fett and bringing billions in, like how we all feel about the magic of it is because you have to suspend disbelief and just watch. It's hard to articulate, but there's something so rewarding if you just stay open and give it a chance.
Yeah, that's why I felt so weird, because I had doubled down on Star Wars so hard in recent years with the,
And it is
after the prequels, I was like willing to let Star Wars sort of go, and just sort of, and then when it came back, that was so significant to me because I was entering middle age, and I was just like, I'm so thrilled that like this is still going to be a thing, and it's still going to be part of my life, and it's still going to be part of my work and my self-expression and my social life and my intellectual life. And then to get a bad movie, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I felt like they pulled the rug out from under me. And I was just like, this can't be right. This can't, I'm missing something, So I just like, I let it go, and I realized that I was looking at it the wrong way. I was the wrong point of view. And
that's good to hear, man.
Yeah, so
and to everybody that like it was a job, like that was great. Thank you for
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody that did everything and was psyched to make Star Wars, and like you made Star Wars.
It's work to watch this movie, though. It's 2.5 hours long.
I know.
I'm surprised. We just made this discussion was 2.5 hours.
Awesome.
And I think we're at that. But all right, enough.
We talked about it as long as the length of the movie was. Well done, man.
You've asked for the Sucklord's opinion on The Last Jedi, and you got it, including David Healey and JK5. We're gonna probably do a sequel to this because fucking billions, But I'm sure he has something fun to say about it too. So thanks for watching the Super Suck Hour. If you like this shit, you can give me some fucking money on my Patreon because I got a fucking if you go ahead, let's hear some feedback. Let's hear some fucking feedback. But I suggest to anybody, if you sat through this whole thing, I hope we either convinced you to like the movie or at least give it another chance, or maybe you've doubled down on your opinion and now you hate it even more, and by extension hate me, because if you don't like this movie, I can't be your friend.
We're not really here. We're just holograms. So strike me down.
Goodbye.